of Governance and Leadership, Mr. Sameep Shastri. Sir, we welcome you on behalf of Lovely Professional University. It's a pleasure having you here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this live right now, wherever you are, you can give a big round of applause to Mr. Sameep Shastri. Sir, the profile that you have is impeccable. I mean, the kind of work that you have done over the years is just beyond my words. So, first of all, I like to acknowledge your presence, and also I like to acknowledge the presence of all the dignitaries, all the heads who have joined us in this session. Also, I'd like to greet all the students who are watching us from all corners of the world. This is my pleasure to have this session with all of you, and I'm pretty sure that you all will be learning a lot of things from this particular session because we have a man as great as Sameep Shastri here. Before I give the platform to his key address, I'd like to read a little bit about his work that he has done over the years. Taking forward the illustrious political legacy of his grandfather, former Prime Minister of India, Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri, Sameep Shastri has also ventured into the world of politics by joining the Bharatiya Janata Party. Charismatic, armed with tremendous sense of responsibility, renewed sense of a high degree of flexibility, resourcefulness, and commitment to work, and thrives on challenges that to walk tightrope. Owing to his warm personality and exceptional communication and interpersonal skills, he enjoys huge mass appeal whether he is walking with the people or leading them. Sameep Shastri, Indian youth icon, institution builder, a leader whose words and work in the field of public service are inspiring a generation. Sameep is chairman of the Indian Institute of Governance and Leadership and the president of Confederation of Young Leaders. Confederation of Young Leaders has been a pioneer in organizing national and international congresses and conventions on leadership and government. The Confederation has implemented many programs at the global level for making the world citizen aware regarding the need for employment-centric choice-based life skills and developmental courses. In this connection, many youth dialogues have been conducted by the Confederation in collaboration with China, Norway, Serbia, Bolivia, Venezuela, and many other countries. Sameep is a columnist for several reputed journals, dailies, and magazines, acknowledging his efforts towards Swachh Bharat Abhiyan and other initiatives by our Honorable Prime Minister. Many union ministers of Government of India and other prominent organizations have recommended and acknowledged his efforts. I believe, sir, your profile is very long for me to even describe in few minutes. So I like to request all the other people to kindly understand what sort of a personality Mr. Sameep is during this course of conversation. Mr. Sameep, sir, off to you for your key address.
Good morning, everyone, at Lovely Professional University. It's my pleasure to be hosted for the Business Conclave 2020, hosted by Spasmodic, the student organization of LPU. So, personally, I will start off with a story that, being from a family legacy of Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, it was always a lot of pressure for us to come and work and enter politics, and a lot of people wanted us because of his values and ethics and honesty that the family members should join in with a similar kind of thought process. My journey started off with becoming the president of the Indian Association while I was studying abroad, and I realized how important it is to empower the youth. And that's how my journey and thought process started for youth empowerment and institution building. And there was a huge gap in the over a decade that we have tried to cover in my programs and initiatives, where we have tried to build a platform so that the young leaders and the students could actually interact and have a networking platform. So that's how my journey started. And today, when I actually look back and I see that how important, so as a youngster, you feel there are shortcuts to success, and that is actually a myth. To be very honest, anything that you achieve or you want to achieve, there's a lot of hard work behind it. Whether it is simply organizing an event, or whether it is making a business, or whether it is working for your dreams, you have to put in a lot of efforts, and you have to put hard work, and you have to have the research. There's no shortcut to success. But what you can do and what this generation is benefited is with the medium of social media and connectivity. You can connect with the right kind of people and get the advice. And this is what was missing earlier, and now it is available. And I would request all the people who are listening to me that kindly connect with the kind of leader you want to get associated with, and take advice. People are open minded. It's just that you need to approach them. And there's that particular hesitance that we all have, which has to be removed to achieve success and goals for the future. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful keynote address. I'd like to now request all the participants who are watching this live session right now to kindly make sure that during this conversation where we are going to ask certain questions to Mr. Sameep, sir, kindly make sure that you are also questioning, you're also asking the questions in the comment section, because that will also help us have a more natural and candid conversation. So first of all, I'd like to also congratulate Spasmodic Group for bringing in Mr. Sameep, sir, to this giant platform. We congratulate them for the introduction of e-business Conclave 2020 during these times of pandemic. But I think it's a commendable job done by them, and we are looking forward to have more and more enthusiastic conversations live out here in this particular conclave. But since we have Mr. Sameep sir himself out here, I think the first question that anybody would ask is his leadership skills. How do you come up with the leadership skills? What do you, I mean, like, you belong to a family which is known for strong leadership. What were the challenges that you had as a kid to, present yourself as that leader, as that young, fierce politician?
I think for a leader, I think challenges never get over. Personally, whether you are from a legacy, whether you're from a political background, or whether you're the first generation doing your leadership struggle never ever ends. The key important point of a leader is to be a good listener, to empathize with the person who's telling you those advice, and to understand the current scenario and the requirement of the leadership. It is very, very important to be a part of the problem to actually solve it and to become a leader and come out of it. So a problem recognition is very important for a leader, and it is very important to keep open ears. And as I come from a background where politically we are very sound, there's always been questions that people have said it must have been very easy for you. So I must correct this notion. It might be easy for people from backgrounds, financially sound backgrounds, to enter a particular business, but success and leadership is totally dependent on the individual. Nepotism plays an important role. Yes, it gives you the boost to probably crack the first level of entry at any point. But does it make you the man what you are? I really don't think so. You have to work and keep yourself grounded, and that's when you grow. So there are a lot of success stories of people, second generation, third generation, entertainment people, politicians, but it's not necessary that their second generation or the third generation has gained that kind of success. So whatever you achieve, and I still don't call myself successful. I have bigger dreams. I want to achieve them, and it will all happen because of my leadership roles and my ability to take challenges and accept the problem and work for it. So I think it's very, very important that one has to be very open-minded and has to ensure that his challenges as a leader never ends. That's when he actually truly becomes a leader.
True, sir. Agreed completely. Sir, you're also the president of Brics Young Leaders Program. Can you please tell us a little bit about this program? What is it entirely about, and what do you deal with in this?
So, as I'm the vice chairman of the Brics Chamber of Commerce and Industries, as you all must be aware that more than 1/3 of the population is with Brics nations, that is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. So the main mission was we have been continuously interacting at an industrial level where we have been having multiple MOUs with these nations, and this bloc is actually considered to be one of the strongest blocs because of developing economies, and all very strong economies. So, as our Honorable Prime Minister kept on emphasizing that we're 65% and the 65% of the youth, we realized there is a huge potential for the youth to actually network in these nations. So the
Mhm.
whole idea was to create a platform where youth leadership, global research, and thought leadership can be connected with institutional network, and we can have a global platform where from students and entrepreneurs from these nations could actually come and interact and develop, share their technological knowledge. Knowledge share can take place. Venture capitalists could come in where they could actually invest in the ideas of innovators and startups in India and other nations. So the idea was very, very basic. But now, when we realize, when after opening the chapter, that the potential is far more than what we actually thought, and it is a global platform where, uh, personally, I believe that young leaders for tomorrow will be developed and they will be able to lead their nations and the world from this platform.
Wonderful, sir. On that note, I'd also like to tell you that we have the presence of Honorable Chancellor of Lovely Professional University, Sri Ashok Mittal, sir, with us. I acknowledge his presence and I welcome him to this session. Moving forward, sir, well, we live in a country where I think almost 60 to 65% of the population comes under the age group of 18 to 35, which generally means that we have 60% of young population with us. But do you think that there is a lack of young leaders in our country, especially when we have such huge number? And what do you think we can do to enhance the leadership amongst the youth in our region?
So I have to personally talk about two aspects in this. First of all, the political stigma that is there, that politics is dirty, has to change in the minds of the youth. Till the time the educated youth does not enter the politics and be a part of policy making, we cannot sit back over in our house with a cup of tea and keep criticizing it. So it is now the time for the 60% to actively get involved in the policy making, either through bureaucracy or through politics or through NGOs or through other initiatives. We as youth have been taking from the country. We have to change that outlook, that we have to give back to our nation for a better future. This is the generational thought process shift that is required, that we as individuals, whether we are on an X package as an employee or whether we are students, how can we give back to the society in a small manner or a big manner is not the concern, but how can we give back? The That's the most important part, to develop the gap that is there as leaders. And once that starts happening, automatically you will see better leaders coming up to reform the nation and taking the nation to a different level.
All right, sir. Well, we talk about leadership, but then I think when you are talking about leadership, you're supposed to have the skills as well. And I think India is a country which can provide a lot of skills to the youth. And we have also come up with campaigns like Skill India. But do you think that there can be other measures that can be taken by the government to ensure that there is more skills amongst the youth?
I think initiatives taken by the government, current government, NDA government led by our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, is very, very important, because for the first time in the history of our country, someone has emphasized on the importance of the youth with interaction and platforms that have been created, whether it's Startup India, Make in India, Skill in India, Digital India. All these initiatives, somewhere or the other, empower us.
Yeah.
What we need to do is need to realize how these policies are getting implemented and how can we benefit out of this. So we need to, what my suggestion has always been to the government, to have a committee or a commission where the youth could actually take this kind of knowledge and implement it and have a balanced approach with guidance from seniors in those committees to grow, and a single window platform for any new organizations where your all your, whether it is forming the company, whether it is buying a land, whether it is manufacturing, whatever line this youngsters want to get into, there should be a single window platform that they just approach one office and most of their paperwork is sorted out. That's key essential for any developing nation. And we are digitally sound to actually do it. It's just the part that now we have to initiate and we have to make sure that this happens. Technology wise, our country has actually grown drastically, and today is one of the examples that we are connecting over technology, and thousands and 500, like millions of people actually view our programs. So this is a beautiful example that yes, we have achieved that. Now we need to enhance it in a manner that actually helps us creating a smoother platform to execute a business venture.
Yeah. All right, sir. Sir, you're the grandson of later Prime Minister of India, Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri ji. I'm pretty sure that you must have seen the kind of leadership, the kind of governance that he has done while you were growing up. Could you please share us what are the skills that you really admired in him, and what are the attributes, or what are the factors that you've taken from him during your upbringing?
So, since my childhood, we all have heard stories of Ramayana, Mahabharata. But for me, there have been a lot of inspirational stories from my grandfather. And my dadi, I was lucky to meet her, and my mother, and all my Tayajis, they all have always told me some way or the other influenced my thought process with the leadership qualities. I'll share one small story. Everybody has heard about him retiring about railway and crossing the river to go to school. But I'll share one more story. We were importing back in the day. We were importing wheat from America, and the quality of the wheat wasn't that great. So India had this agricultural shortage that time. So he thought of a process that if we fast for a day, that was a Monday fast, we shall we shall overcome the shortage that is required if everybody in India follows this. So what he did is he actually implemented this in his house for 3 weeks. He ensured that my father and my Tayaji and everybody don't eat meal on Monday. And when that was successful, that's when he asked the nation to do so. So what the learning lesson is, whatever you want to implement, you have to see and look for yourself and do it yourself before you tell others to do it. So you have to, whatever you want as a leader to be done, it is very important for you. So it was a great learning lesson for me. This story actually inspired me. Yes, today if I ask someone to do some work, I should be able to do it myself as well. If I cannot, then I'm not a true leader.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of stories that from his story of buying a car on loan to there was a story where I'll tell you very again one small anecdote of his life that he was 11 years old. He used to stay with his Mamaji. He had lost his father, Shada Prasadji, and he was going in Mughal Sarai to from the market back to his house. There was this man selling mangoes, and what happened is he really wanted to eat. So he told his Mamaji that, please, can I buy some mangoes? He said, why not? And as the farmer was going back, he said, I am ready to give this for 1 rupee. You take the entire basket. There was around 100 mangoes in it. Then his and Mamaji negotiated with him and said, I'll buy everything for 50 paisa. So as the farmer was going for the day, he said, Chalo, let me get rid of whatever stock I had. He agreed. Then Shastriji, when started counting, he took 50 mangoes and said, rest you can take back home. And then Mamaji started getting angry at Shastriji, saying, what is this? Why are we are paying him the money for what we have negotiated. He said, but our need is only for 50. We will waste it. At least he can sell that tomorrow and make more money. And he was hell bent and he took only 50 mangoes for 50p and he took it home. And it was a very, very big lesson that whatever you need in life is what you should get. You should not buy, or there is this particular need of materialistic things, but we have to evaluate as youngsters for the betterment of the nation how much we need it. There are a lot many times that you or others may have spent money and resources for things that are not required in our life. And I personally feel we should adopt it as much as we can, that we should come to minimalistic kind of living where we can help the growth of the nation, because it could be that what you leave behind in terms of resources or materialistic thing, it could be a need for someone else. So it is very important to follow that. During the pandemic, if you notice, people started hoarding a lot of food, material, medication, baby food. So it is very unfortunate that the empowered people try to misuse their power by using their money and pressure to ensure their safety and security. That is the mindset which has to be changed. If it was, and the government was working towards it, nothing got stopped. More or less, everybody was able to go through the worst phase of the lockdown, and now we are on the process of unlocking, and more or less nobody faced, except for the migrants. And we are the people who keep criticizing the government. The migrants suffered. The migrants suffered because of us, empowered people who actually hoarded things. If we wouldn't have done that, migrants wouldn't have suffered. So indirectly or directly, everything is related, at which we need to work, and we have to work on the aspect that we should only acquire things that are required in our life for the betterment of the country.
All right, so I think that's a wonderful story. I like to tell you that since the slogan Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan was given by Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri, we have then we had Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, and Jai Vigyan given by Sri Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Then the next slogan, which was given by Sri Narendra Modi, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, Jai Vigyan, and Jai Anusandhan. It was actually revealed in our campus itself during 106th Indian Science Congress that was held at Lovely Professional University. Right. So there is a bit of connection with the slogan as well, and we I think truly believe in this ideology of giving more to the people who are in need than to the people who already have, because we all know that with great power comes great responsibility. If you have the power, you need to be responsible as well.
Very true.
Moving forward to the next question that I have for you, is that in today's time, we have seen that leadership plays a very vital role in all the aspects, be it in the political scenario or be it in a company scenario. What are the tips that you'd like to give to the young leaders who are willing to enter into the startup scenario as well? You must be aware about how to govern or how to lead a certain company or an organization. So, what are your giveaways for them?
See, I personally feel this is the right time for every startup to innovate. There's a lot of need that has been created because of pandemic, whether it is through service industry or products. Like initially, India did not have the required number of PPE kits, but there was a will of manufacturers. Today we have surplus and we are ready to export as well. Similarly, every disaster, every pandemic creates that opportunity, and this is the right time to seize it. I would advise all the youth to actually look into their market environment, those who want to become entrepreneurs, those who want to start up. So the first and the foremost for any successful business is to realize the need for the product and the market, then work on it. As an organization leader and an institution builder, I would always advise them three things: that honesty is the most important. Secondly, securing funds. Securing funds will only happen once your product and your licenses and your trademarks are correct. So always share your idea after securing yourself, so that no one else can replicate it, because there have been many stories where people have replicated the other person because they did not go through the trademarks and patents. So that is very, very important for innovators. And the third and the most important part is to be together. Whenever an organization is made, it is not made by one person. Whether you look at any company, it's never been a single person who's actually made it. It is a team effort. It's very, very important to have a close-knit core team for you and your company to grow. So that is my suggestion to the youth, that it is very, very important to have team effort and to work, to be able to work with each other.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I'd also like to tell you that we also have the presence of worthy Pro-Chancellor of lovely Professional University, Madam Rashmi Mittal, here with us. Ma'am, we welcome you to this session, and I hope that you're going to stay here for a little bit long. So for the next question that I have now, I'd like to request all the audience member as well to kindly ask your question in the Facebook comment section as well. We are live from LPU's official Facebook handle. So we'd like to request you to kindly ask your questions there as well, so that you all can also get a chance to interact with Sameep sir. The first question that we have is from Sandeep. He's asking you, in this time, youth of the nation are not getting employed due to many factors. What do you think should be done for better employment of youth?
Vishnu, you're not audible. Can you repeat the question? Vishnu, you're not audible.
Am I audible now, sir?
Yeah, now you are.
All right. So the question is that the youth of our nation is not employed much. What are the factors or what are the measures that can be taken to better the employment rate of youth in our country?
So employment has been is a continuous problem with all developing nations, especially India. What we need to do is, as companies and startups, we need to get a little progressive. We need to think about the employment, and what we need to do is our dependence to the digitalization decreases the manpower scenario. So what we need to realize is, as businessmen and entrepreneurs, that we should have the right balance, and we should not get totally dependent on technology. And for the youth, it is very, very important to be skilled. So earlier, when India was growing, most of our generation and beyond that, they used to talk about becoming doctors, engineers. Now we have specialization in skilled fields, whether it is photography, whether it is your art and culture, whether it is your technology, whether it. So we need to have skilled labor so that there is a right employment generation. So there was a trend in between that a lot of science students were getting into management, and management students going back to flying and trying to do science things. So there's to and fro. As a when you grow, your ambitions change. So it is very important as a student to be focused what you want to do, so that employment is not an issue for you. If you keep oscillating between the thought process that this is also what I want to do, this is also what I want to do, then there are XYZ thoughts behind it, that is where the problem starts creating. And yes, the government really needs to work on creating better opportunities and better agencies for hiring of unemployed people. That is very, very important. And all business houses, it's a sincere request to all of them always to talk to the Employment Exchange of India and try to hire from them. What we try to do is hire from these HR companies. Why can't we talk to Employment Exchange and take the right data and try to decrease the unemployment rate? So it's very, very important to do that.
True, sir. Sir, you're the president of Confederation of Young Leaders. Can you please tell us what are the efforts that are being made to build the young leaders of India, of our nation?
So that's a topic that I can keep speaking about the entire day, but I'll try to sum it up in as many words as possible. So Confederation Young Leaders is a global youth platform which we created a couple of years back, and now we have presence in more than 21 countries, members associated with us from 21 countries. And what we have been doing is creating a platform for those students and entrepreneurs to interact with world leaders, firstly. Secondly, we have been working a lot. We have already collected more than 700 research papers on different policy making of different nations and how they can benefit each other. And we have a very progressive thought about Confederation of Young Leaders, where we are enabling leaders with soft skills training, with their presence. So there are a lot of programs to enable you to make you feel confident, to become confident, and uh, to be able to represent. So we are working on the communication skills. We are working. So there are n number of platforms that we are working under the Confederation of Young Leaders platform. So it can go on, and our forte is actually youth dialogues, which is continuously happening every time. Even in pandemic, we had sessions of around 14, 15 high commissioners and member of parliaments who came and gave their thought to the young leaders how they can improve and how the society can change and how beneficial it is and for the youth to get involved in today's time.
All right, sir. Sir, I would also like to know about IIGL. Could you please tell the audience in large what is IIGL all about?
So, Indian Institute of Governance and Policy was an advice given by our honorable minister that time, Suresh Prabhuji, that we should have a platform that works which works in coordination with the government. So that's how the institute came into existence with the advice of a couple of ministers, sitting ministers, even late Sushma Swaraj had advisors that we need to work on how these policies transmission and how these policies information can we relate to the youth. So this is actually a platform where we have created this wing to support the government policies. So right now there's an initiative that we recently launched under IGL, which is a program for Atmanirbhar Bharat, where self-reliance and how important it is to focus on Make in India. So this is a policy that we are doing, and we are trying to implement and get the industry experts to guide you to become Atmanirbhar and try to support the vision of the government. So
All
this
right.
is one of the examples that IGL is doing, and there are other things that IGL is also doing, which is in creating true leaders. So there's a very difficult selection process that we actually identify the leadership quality, and that's when we induct for the program, and that's how we try to groom. So our goal is in next 10 years we want to create 50,000 leaders who are expert of that field, that is vision now by the government, and in 10 years down the line they could actually lead and be a part of that.
So while we were having this conversation, I realized that you are leading sort of bodies and organizations. You're leading many bodies and organizations for that matter. I wanted to know, how do you manage your time? You have to take care of all the other things, and you have to take care of precision and perfection as well. How do you manage time, and how do you go about it?
See, time management is the utmost important. What you need to do is start making a schedule. But that's a advice that I would like to give to everybody, that you need to have a schedule for your day-to-day routine, a weekly routine and a monthly routine, as much as you can get planned, because if you have a right time management program. So for these days, it's become quite easier for me to actually manage these organizations because it's all through virtual medium. But we have been using virtual medium for most of my programs where I'm not able to make the presence. So I have been taking the benefit of the digital technology, and I have also started what I'm advising is that you should make a daily note of what you do in life, because 10 years down the line you should know that on the following date. So I've been making this diary advised by my elder brother, that I make a note of everything that I do. So past 5 years I've been doing it, and I can actually precisely tell you what I was doing on today's date 5 years back. So things what you have to do is try to improve yourself and organize yourself in a better manner, because there are a lot of things, a lot of goals that you have in your head, and that can only be executed if you plan it in a manner that it can get executed. So you have to think that if there is an assignment that you have to do, and then you have to play a role in a student organization, and then you want to think about a business idea. So you should know how to equate your time and give importance to the current scenario of your life. So if your current scenario, if you're a student, you should give priority to education. Then you should give priority to your work culture and what you want to do in future, and then you should give priority to your hobbies and etc. Because that is also equally important, and then you have to give time to your family and friends. That's very, very important. So you have to create that balance, and there's no perfect solution for this, but the only solution that I can advise is, in a timeline, when you create a timeline, try to work accordingly. Make a simple timeline of your day, that if start from a basic schedule of getting up on time, sleeping on time, improving the skills that you want to. Like, I want to improve my reading skills, I want to improve my communication skills, so I spend daily 25-30 minutes to do that. So these are things you have to identify. You have to do your SWOT analysis. You need to understand what your strengths are, weaknesses are, opportunities are, threats are, and then you have to work, make your schedule according to that. All of this very sounds very bookish, and but what you it actually, if you're able to implement it in your life, it takes you way forward, and you are able to achieve 10 times of what you are doing now. So I can say with experience that yes, it was very important for me to realize my weaknesses and opportunities to be able to grow in life. So that is something that you everyone needs to do, and have a fixed schedule for eating, sleeping, so that you know that these are the X number of hours that I have, that I can achieve.
All right, sir. So, what is that? If you look back in time, what is that one moment where you must have felt that life has thrown you at rock bottom, and you have to now work everything out again to come back to normal and start leading again? What would be that moment where you felt down and challenged and lost?
So these moments have happened a lot of times, unfortunately, with me. I start off with a very small incident, that I was planning a business venture, and I thought my family would support me, and they would fund me, and they actually turned around, and my mother, I lost my father when I was two, so my mother is a single parent, and whatever she achieved was through her efforts. So she clearly said that if you want to achieve something, you really need to work for it. So that was like a throwback moment for me. Ki, yeah, my mother is saying no to me. That was something which I did not expect in my life, and then I realized that how important. So I actually joined a job, saved up some money, and that's how I started my entrepreneurial journey. So it was very important. And another story that I have, when I had a throwback, was just after my 12th, being from a affluent family, and I had this in my mind. Yeah, man, the grandson of the former prime minister, out of 100 crore population, we are just 16 families. I will get admission wherever I want. So had that attitude as a youngster, and that was completely wrong. And my mother, whenever I got around 78% aggregate in my 12th, and my mother told me that I'm sorry, but wherever you want to take admission, you need to work on your own. If you get admission, very good. And that's when I lost again all hopes, that I thought my mother and my family will support me, and I'll go to the best of the DU university, and had that dream to go to SRCC that time. And I realized that it's all shattered. I'm nowhere. I don't know what to do in life. But then I got an opportunity with an international university, Western International University, which had a tie-up with Modi Apollo that time back in India. And then I joined there, and then I took my transfer to US. So there are a lot of times in your life that you actually feel disappointed and discouraged. What you really need to do is not lose hope and guide yourself. And it was for a good reason that my family did that, because today I have the strength to say that whatever I have achieved is because of my efforts, but supported from my family.
All right.
Support was emotional, not monetarily, not. So I had to take an education loan. I had to do everything. So that is something which made me realize that it's very important to live normally, live in a manner where you actually see the struggle and understand that you are not privileged. It is important for you to achieve everything, and then experience what your privileged life is all about.
Absolutely. So I think that's where the morals, ethics, and the principles that we can see in your speech as well. The kind of humbleness and humility that you have, it's visible that you've brought up in a very nice and safe environment. Sir, I think we've spent almost 40 minutes having this discussion about you, your work, and the kind of stuff that you've done over the past few years. What would be the message if you have to sum up your entire speech in few words? What would be the message for all the youth, all the young leaders who are watching us around the world? What would be your message to them? How to lead, how to govern, and how to win the audience?
So my message would be very, very simple and crisp. Hard work, very, very important. Time management, very important. Be open-minded, connect, networking. Don't be hesitant. All you'll get is a no. No is not a very difficult word to handle. To achieve success in life, you have to hear the first no and many no's in future. But that should not disappoint you. It is very important for you to keep on the struggle and ensure that you become what you want to become. Thank you.
All right, sir. I think we have the presence of Dr. Saurabh sir here as well. So I'd like to request, sir, if he could sum up the entire experience in his work as well. Saurabh, sir, off to you. All right, I guess he's a little busy right now. But sir, I'd like to request you to kindly give a message to the Spasmodic Group as well, the student organization that has conducted this event. If you have any message for them.
Oh, yes. I would love to thank. Sorry, I think I disconnected. Am I audible now? I got disconnected, I think.
Yes, sir. Now you're audible.
Yeah. So I would like to thank the Spasmodic organization. You're playing a very, very important role of bridging the gap between network leaders, basically leaders of today with the future leaders. And I would like to thank them for giving me this opportunity to share my views and looking forward for a favorable exchange between our organization with Spasmodic. We would love to work together and try to guide the young leaders of the future. Thank you so much.
Definitely, sir. I think that will be a really wonderful opportunity for the Spasmodic Group as well. And it was, it was truly an honor for me as well to have this conversation with you. And I'm pretty sure that I have learned a lot of things during the course of this conversation. But before we leave our respective grounds, I'd like to request Nitin sir. He's here. Nitin sir, the head of student organization cell. Nitin sir, if you could sum up the entire experience in your words, please, up to you. Nitin sir.
It's a pleasure to host, sir, especially on the digital platform. So on behalf of the student organization, Spasmodic, and the whole LPU family, we would like to thank sir for accepting our invitation and guiding all the youngsters with their thoughts so that we all can grow in the same direction for the betterment of our nation. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, Nitinji. Thank you so much.
All right, sir. I think that would sum up the introduction of e-business conclave as well. It was wonderful having with us Mr. Sameep Shastri. He is truly a remarkable personality, and I'm pretty sure all students who have watched us live must have learned and taken away a lot of advices and suggestions from sir. We indeed are very grateful to have you here and looking forward to host you in our campus as well. Once things get normal, we will be delighted to host you in our campus and would love to meet you physically as well, sir.
Looking forward to meeting you, Vishnu, and the entire team of LPU. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Have a great conclave. Best of luck for your conclave and keep organizing such beautiful events. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Vyas, I think we're done.
Yes, bro, we are done with it.
All right, so I think good evening. Yeah?
Yeah, right. We had a good one.
I have some recommendations and suggestions for you. The first thing is that there is no audience on Facebook at all. You ask your group members, whoever your team members are, tell them to.
Like this just basically to touch upon certain examples.
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Translating this into a real life and more from the leadership as well as
And the
We'll
climate
keep the mood very light for everybody who's listening to us.
Friday morning. Yeah.
Friday morning. My parents are watching us live right now, so they are to like, please don't go too much into technicalities. Keep it real. We want the real thing out. Yeah. So should we start now? Are we ready for the live session to start? Please give me a sign for the same. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Kanika Veg, and I welcome you all to the E-Business Conclave 2020. So, since this morning, we have been, addressed by people from great platforms, and we have been seeing learned people at the E-Business Conclave 2020. So, on behalf of the lovely professional university family and the Spasmodic family, I welcome you all again to this platform. And it's a pleasure. I am delighted and I'm excited because we have a person. The person with us for this session is Srimathi Shivashankar, the Corporate Vice President of HCL Technologies, heading the New Vistas business. So, girls and boys, warm up because we are going to have a great conversation forward, and I look forward to learning from this one, and I hope you are too. So, before I begin, ma'am, I welcome you to this platform today, and it's a pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you, Kanika.
And before moving forward, I would like our guests, everybody, our audience to know that ma'am is a distinguished task force member at the UN Women Global Reporting Initiatives, the WEF, the World Business Council for Sustainability and Development, etc. She's an ideator, she's a motivator, she's a biker, she's a traveler, and she's always a learner. I would also like the people to know that she is also a distinguished alumna awardee from the NIT Trichy, which is an award not many people have received in the country, which is again a great matter of pride for us to have her here. And I'm sure for her, it is going to be a great time as well.
Thank you, Kanika.
Yeah. So I would like all of you to know that the theme of this conclave that has been set was climate change, post-COVID era. We all are suffering, we all are living in a time which is difficult, of course, but we have many possibilities of greatness and, many good possibilities coming in future, I'm sure. Srimathi Shivashankar will be addressing us on the topic Yin Yang, the need of balanced leadership during adversities. So, without taking any further time, I would now like to hand over the screen to Srimathi Shivashankar. Ma'am, please.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kanika. I'm extremely happy to address a group of very bright and future leaders of the country. Many people ask me why I take such forums. I don't actually take the so-called otherwise the professional, the older forums, because being with young makes me also feel young. And when I get out, I take a lot of energy from the youngsters. And that's one of the reasons I believe it's great to be part of today's forum. So I want to thank you, Vyas, and the entire Spasmodic organization. The Friday looks even brighter with a forum like this. So thank you so much. I wanted to touch upon something very little deep from the philosophical thought, but more practical if you start applying whatever I say today. I'm not going to go more into concepts. I'm not going to give prescriptions. I think the worst thing a leader can give is to give prescriptions. I'm just going to share some of the things that are important for any one of us when we start our career journey, and how we discover and what we should discover, and then start winning the turns. I do believe adversity is an opportunity to learn. I do believe that crisis is an opportunity to get better. And I do believe that the best innovations and inventions will come when there is always crisis. And humans have always had the potential to learn and grow when they know that they are facing adversity, and then they have to reinvent themselves. I will also, whatever I try to talk today, I would want you to take it, the team here, to take it in a very neutral concept and try to apply many things in life. Whether it is climate change, whether it's corporate social responsibility, or is it applicable to a startup company if you want to become an entrepreneur, or if you are, getting groomed for managerial positions, the MBAs, how are you going to start looking at, the organizations where you join, or the engineers or the humanities students whom I see here, you are going to lead teams. So I'm just going to kind of apply, whenever I give you some examples, just apply this to yourself. You don't need to apply to a particular situation in any other context outside yourself. Okay, Kanika, that's the context setting that I wanted to do today. Yeah.
Right, ma'am.
Before I move on, I think it's a very interesting subject when you say that the impact of climate change in the post-COVID. I, I think the COVID has done a lot of justice to climate change.
Yeah.
I think the birds and animals, and they're so happy. For the first time, I'm seeing a lot of birds outside my house, which I have never seen for years. I smell fresh air. I think there is more oxygen out there than I did when it comes to carbon. People are out less. Even if people have to get out, they seem to be working. So the carbon footprint per person would have come down. The otherwise emissions, we'll be talking about what happens to the pole, what happens to our ice in the Arctic, what happens to the fish that needs to come, the varieties that need to come back to the oceans. I think we've just got back to what we lost several hundred years ago. So in a way, I think the nature is enjoying itself with all of us locked down inside our houses. So, but what happens is that once we're all back in the work, we forget what happened to us in the lockdown. And we go back and start working with the nature in a very bad way. So I'm not going to speak like one of those person who's going to put up a flag up and say, don't do this, don't do that. But there are some basic values we do believe as Indians we have. I'm proud to be an Indian. So I would like to talk about a bit of Indian ethos and say we can bring some of this Indian ethos into our own lives. And right? The topic is Indian, but then it doesn't mean it's not Indian context specific. And feel free, Tanika, I'm sure you're also tracking people if there are comments, and if people have any questions as I go through the deck, it doesn't matter, you can stop me because it's more conversation rather than it's going to be a unidirectional.
Definitely, ma'am.
Yeah, I have with me my colleague Kritika and Sunanda and Vinny. I think three of them who have helped me throughout my journey to come up with any of these happy conversations. So Kritika, over to you if you can just put the deck. I have just about 4 or 5 slides for my conversation.
For sure, ma'am.
Yeah.
And ma'am, since till the time Kritika ma'am presents the screen, and you have very rightly said that we are Indians, and there are there are so many qualities that we people inherit, and we are more inclined towards nature. We are more inclined towards goodness in the society. It would be great if you could address all those things that you feel are a part of our culture and traditions, because coming from the kind of industry from where you're coming, we don't get a lot of leaders talking about traditions and cultures. So it would be a great experience to hear that as well.
Sure. Just a little bit about me, Kanika, before we go into this is I grew up in a very small village. So I'm not like one of those, I grew up in city types, okay?
Yeah.
And I did study in a vernacular medium, that's Tamil, right? That's why I can read and write Hindi, but me speaking Hindi is it's like what you see in Chennai Express. Okay, so I don't really attempt to go there. So I come from that kind of where you saw in Chennai Express movie, those kind of village, actually.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Except that I have not worn those half sari types like what Deepika Padukone wore, but it's more a little liberated kind of a tone, right?
Okay.
So a lot of upbringing in a small town, you get rooted into those culture, because I do still believe that our ethos lies in the smaller towns in this country. The best practices of sustainability, whether it is managing the greenhouse effects or looking at the larger community, or focusing towards what you need to learn for life, and how you even cope during all adversity. Coping during adversity comes the best when you are in the smaller villages. So I think if all of us can backpack and then go back to some of these places and spend some time, we learn more than what probably a formative education of 10 years can give you. That much I can say. I just hope
completely
somebody
agree.
writes. I'm sure somebody from university will come up with some excellent books at some point in time. Yeah.
For sure.
I'm wondering where the deck is. Kritika, are you there on the call? Could you please project the slide? Kritika?
I request the technical team to kindly also look into the matter so that we are able to see the slides. And meanwhile, I hope everybody is having a lot of, I can see so many comments pouring in. I can see so much of love and support for the same. I think it's really good that, somebody has come to a very grounded level to talk to all of us. And I'm looking forward to this small meet that we have. So I think we also have the screen now.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just going to the second slide, Kritika. So I do have some slides today, and this would be the topic. I'm just going to give a little highlight to what this Indian concept is all about,
Right.
the masculine and feminine energies. I just want to, before we go there, I want the groups to understand. So when somebody talks about gender diversity and somebody says we need women in leadership, or we need certain ways of running the organization, I want people to understand that there are masculine and feminine aspects of organizations, of countries. We call certain countries which are very feminine. We call certain countries which are very masculine. It's largely because how you focus on how you run your country. When I say country, it could be your homes, it could be your companies, it could be the larger countries. So it is not about what percentage of women are in leadership or what percentage of men are in leadership. I think there's a lot of confusion when somebody talks about any of these diversity issues. Why diversity or any of these masculine, feminine energies understanding is important is when you talk about what is called as a softer aspect, which also impacts a lot of us in life, like the climate change, like the societal issues, or about skilling of people, all these things which are considered to be the softer issues, is towards a lot about what is called as inclusive thinking. And inclusive leadership comes when there is a little feminine forms or feminine characteristics or behaviors that a country would exhibit. So that's why we say, oh, the Scandinavian nations, oh, they are very feminine in nature. We say Australia, oh, it's more feminine than masculine. And the minute we say, oh, something like Japan, oh, that's a little more masculine. Saudi Arabia is a little more masculine, right? So I want you to go back and do a little bit of, reading beyond this class. So I'm just going to touch upon what all these are, and how this would relate to, what practical things that one can do to take care of adversity. Whether it's adversity because of climate change, adversity because tomorrow, because of climate change, we don't get food to eat, or is it because of COVID, we are going to have some job issues coming up tomorrow? So a whole lot around that. Okay. Let's move to the next slide. So the yin and yang is from the Chinese philosophy, right? In Indian context also, if we take Lord Shiva, we say it's Ardhanarishwara, and we say there is a masculine and feminine energy. So I'm sure there are better people than me who have done a very, very deep, dive into all these things. But as a leader, I'm going to say that I've seen the masculine and the feminine part in all of us. A balanced leader, I think it is very, very important to understand and realize from where you draw the energy from when you actually take decisions on some of the important aspects of leadership. Right? So there are companies which says, I'm going to invest today to ensure that I'm going to make an impact on the climate. I'm going to invest today to bring back the natural habitat in this country, right? And there are certain companies which says, oh, it's not a compliant rate in the country. Once it is brought as a rule, then I will think about it, right? So clearly, this shows that the feminine aspect of a company which says that, hey, you need to do an inclusive thinking. When I think of profit, I think of planet and people. So the triple bottom line concept naturally will have an energy which comes from a feminine part of thinking. While the masculine part of this thinking is all about compliance, standardization, rule books, data centric, right? So these two energies are so important if you really have to, manage anything around decision making. So if you look at it, in the slide, you do see this little circle. So you have the yin and yang, right? And it's the black and the white swirls, each containing spot of the other. See, you actually see the spot of the other. You have a white spot in the black and you have a black spot in the white too. So basically, you must look at the dual energies, which are masculine and feminine, and then see how you're going to balance down the approach over a period of time. Let me give you a very good example. So there are many companies. I remember years ago, I went to and I decided to have the daycare setups within the offices. And then I remember somebody very top leader from the finance office told me, "Hey Srimathi, it means a lot of women are going to be in the company." Then I just laughed at him and I said, "Just hold on. Let me see who's the first one to occupy the daycare. Who's the first applicant." It so happened it was a male employee of the company. He walked in and he said, "I want to put my child here because I do believe my wife should get back to the work. And this is the only thing I can do for my wife." Stereotypes broken when you know that you're focusing on a situation no matter, and that is how you actually balance the yin and the yang. A very simple example to start with. Move to next slide. So look at these energies. Look at the masculine energy traits in all of this. When I talk about it, look at yourself, right? You do have a masculine energy trait, which is a yang. We are stable, predictable, clarity, focus, logical. We are very analytical, and it's very linear approach, right? That's supposed to be the whole thing. So look at the COVID situation. What happens? It was not predictable. Nothing is even predictable today, right? Is anything stable today? No stability. Is there clarity today? Is somebody asking you, "Hey, when is the vaccine going to come? Will I get vaccine? When are the doors going to open?" I mean, we are literally in a dark tunnel, right? And all these are going against the masculine energy in us. So all that frustration, irritation, what do I do? And running with like, "Oh man, what's happening to me" types, right? Comes because it's going against the masculine energy we have. Let's look at the feminine energy, friends. It's very powerful, dynamic. We believe feminine energy believes in being dynamic. So it's a constant change. Today something will happen, tomorrow something else will happen. It's okay. We get up in the morning, we adjust, and you have to come. So the adjusting, being dynamic, intuitive, nurturing, and being creative, and forbearing, which is most important aspect around the adversity, is the feminine energy in all of us. So whether it's you are a male or a female, it doesn't matter. Do you have these energies in you, and do you really understand what trait is helping you to shape your life and shape your decision, especially when you run leadership and when you're a leader and when you're running large corporate decisions? What is that really helping you to take decisions? Really matters, right? So I'll just leave it here with one more example. So here is, some part of this will also go into your Myers-Briggs types indicator. All of us have done our MBTI types. There are certain people who will say, "I need all the data before I arrive at a decision." And there are certain people who will say, "Hey, I can see the forest before I see the trees," right? So the forest before the trees usually comes as a part of the feminine energies. Counting the trees before looking at the forest will come as a part of the masculine energy. Are both needed? Absolutely needed in terms of adversity. And both are extremely needed when you really believe that you need to look at the climate control, because climate change is both predictable and unpredictable. And if you want to work around that to come with solutions, you're a startup company and you want solutions, you need to wear both the hats. Move on to next slide. So go beyond the anthropology too, how it has worked. So traditionally, men have been the hunters and gatherers. right? And they started making a lot of equipments and tools to go into being a hunter and gatherer. And women were the traditional nurturers. Okay, this is my hypothesis that engineers and medical professions, they were all gender agnostic from day one, because the hunters will go bring the wood, bring the hunted animal. But what do we do with all these things? Probably the women at home decided what to do with it. Maybe she built the first tool, right? Maybe the masculine energy in her helped her to build the first tool, but the feminine energy in her told her intuitively how to build the tool, right? So I think it has been evolving as part of our anthropology, and I think it is very important, if it's a male or a female, whichever role, I think we are all driven by stereotypes. There are general things saying that, oh, all the salespeople have to be only men. Oh, all the people who are in the learning and development and people who are front ending the customer should all be women. I think this is all really wrong. I think there have been more of stereotypes which have come, right? Who's best suited for situation and who can wear both the hats would be able to manage this as well. Why I'm saying this, going beyond and a bit of anthropology, is I want the teams to go back and read some of those very interesting aspects which has happened even in a country like India. Gender was never an issue in the past. Female and male, the masculine and feminine energies have always ruled us. Then we had to really win over the turns, whether it was the multiple wars we faced, the multiple civil issues that we faced. I think we've been able to conquer them all because we had a good mixture of both of them going with us. Go to next slide. So the balanced leadership, and I'm here, I'm in the seat, and I'm a finance person, okay, and I want to decide what percentage of my money should go into nurturing my environment, going into a good cause. Should I look at it as a percentage of money going into a good cause, or should I say, whenever I think of business, I think of environment and I think of people, right? Then the courage, empathy, resilience, and agility will be automatically built into the organization. If you're trying to singular out an issue from the mainstream and start focusing towards that, then you will find that will not sustain. But what you want to singular out, or what you believe has to be excluded in the system, should become an integral part of your larger strategic thinking, so that you don't miss it out. It becomes a part of your checklist when you have to go and put it. For example, carbon emissions. You say, oh, okay, carbon emissions, I want to build a new office. Think solar. Very simple, right? So it becomes an integral part rather than saying how much should I invest in solar power as a separate one. So what is very important is that am I courageous to ensure that I don't exclude any of these beyond business as part of a business? Do I empathize towards the situation? Do I bring in systems within the company which will bring this agility? And therefore, I'm building a resilient company. A company with resilience comes up only when you are able to list down a number of things which otherwise will be beyond the business, but will become an integral part of the business while you govern. Let's take an example of HCL. We have a separate stream called healthcare program for employees. We thought of this program not now, years ago, as an integral part of doing work. So it was nothing to do with the OSHA compliance or any other compliance wherever we work. It was an integral part of saying we do believe in employee welfare, and therefore it should be an integral part of how we run the business. Today, with COVID times, I can confidently go ahead and say, we know how to manage this to a large extent, and employees themselves know how to take care of themselves because they're not exposed to risks. They are used to, taking care of their health in a regular way, in a systematic manner. So it's become an integral part, an integral way of working. Go to the next slide. So I want to talk about, I know my previous speaker also built about some of his experiences, but growing up in a small town, there's something I want to pick up as a leaf from my grandma's book. I think if you actually go back to your grandma's book and pick up many of the leaves, it is like the book called What You Don't Learn in Harvard, right? There'll be a lot of management mantras that you will see there, right? My grandma did one magic, and that is what I want to talk about it. on which I also built a very powerful program in HCL. The next slide, Ritika. So my grandma had this very interesting thing called fistful of rice. So we're all rice eaters in South in a big way. So every
Yeah.
morning, 4 o'clock used to wake up, and my house, we were growing up in a village. Our family, we were about 23, 24 people. My first cousins, grandmas, greater grandmas, it's like a big gang. And she used to get up at 4 o'clock and 4:30 or so, and all of us used to be up by the time. It was a mandate. When she goes and puts this big pot of rice, what she used to do before she cooks rice, she used to take a fistful of rice, or 10 fistful of rice, and put them aside into a separate pot. And I remember when I was small, I asked her, Grandma, why are you doing this? And she said, you don't know when that will come handy. Whenever people want, whenever this has to go into a society, or I send it to temples, or even if it has to be used for me tomorrow because I don't have money at home, this is a natural practice. You don't think about adversity when the adversity arises. You proactively look at what might happen and what is essential to running your business, running your life. I'm going to just focus on that as a separate track. I don't care what my grandpa says, what my husband says, or children say, right? And in this matter, would be my colleagues in the company, what the CFO would want, or what the business leader want, or whoever would want. But we will have to look at, what is important for the company, right? That's what all the managerial leaders like the CFO, CEO, and the CHROs would always think of. Think of these things, what would keep us going, and what we need to start looking proactively and working towards those activities before adversity comes. So, so when HCL Foundation got started, we were looking at a very powerful employee program. Still, we have today. It's called Power of One. We know all of us want to do something for community and for the environment, changing, planting trees, hug a tree, and stuff like that. So we looked at what is called as a Power of One, and we said, why can't each one of us put aside 1 rupee a day? And today our company is about 100,000 employees only in India. 1 rupee a day, 100,000 rupees a day. 12 months. Look at the corpus fund, right? And employees would feel free to do whatever they would want to do with this money into powerful programs. So you may have some very interesting concept, which is a Western concept called crowdsourcing and all that. Okay. So all this crowdsourcing concept and all that you're doing now is good English, but in ancient India, it has been existing for generations, which is also a part of the Indian company mantras, right? So that's what I wanted to explain to you. And how does it become a value in the company is what I put in the next slide. Kritika, you can move to the next slide. Yeah. So whether you're there or not, you're letting go. In a sense, the values continue. I'll tell you a simple value. How many of us, when you walk out of your meeting room in your own offices or in your colleges, you switch off the fan and light and you walk out? Or we do it at home, but we don't do it in the office. So this becomes a bipolar effect of your values. You do something at home, but you do something in the office. So I think if when I say a fistful of rice is a very interesting concept and you apply it anywhere in the world, you practice that consistently, whether it is office or at work or at home. So what happens, your team also looks at you as a leader. In your presence or in your absence, whether you're holding that portfolio and you move on with some other business, the values that you have inculcated would continue, right? And I think that is key for sustenance and managing adversity. And that's the basis of balanced leadership. Are you consistent about what you do? Do you walk the talk? And you do it consistently, irrespective of whether you're at home or whether you're at home. Next slide. So this is where I'm just going to stop and then leave the room for more details and conversation. I do believe that we should focus on care. And care must be more on how you build resilience. But largely, remember, care is not about Care is not a very okay. I care at 9 o'clock in the morning. Between 10 and 11, I'm going to free myself. Right? It's not like that. It's on a continuum. So whether you want, whether it's a good practice, whether it's a goodwill gesture or not a goodwill gesture, you're still making it as an integral part of your day-to-day life. And as a leader, when you're wearing your feminine part of your energy, you display humility. Letting go, displaying humility and care is pretty much part of the feminine, energies that we have. The hunter-gatherer should always be there. Many times, I do believe I have seen many women fear data, unable to punch Excel sheets because we do believe that we're not good at it. No way. I think to wear the hat of your natural hunter-gatherer, obviously you'll be a better data puncher. It is in all of us for that matter. I may be a great leader, but if I don't nurture and coach people and embrace the values that I want, in terms of adversity, your people will collapse because they will not raise up to the occasion because you have not helped them to balance these energies. And I already mentioned about being authentic. And how do you handle conflicts? Obviously, when you want to invest in something beyond business, there will be a lot of people who will say no to you first. When I go and say I want to plan, I'm just telling up to the students, any of them. If you want to bring any change, the first thing that you'll get from people will be the naysayers who will say no. What is the ROI will I get? Many of the goodwill practices that you want to develop for the country or the company, if you don't mainstream it to start with, there will always be a question around the ROI. You don't get ROI immediately for anything, especially for hard topics like climate change, managing climate change. You've got to be patient. And the patience is a virtue of a feminine. At the same time, the masculine energy will say, why are we doing it? The feminine energy will say, hey, you don't need to immediately discover the answer. Why don't you be patient for 2 years and then you will be able to discover the answer, right? So I think it's very important. And in the terms of adversity, I think the most important aspect will be is how do you handle stress. Handling stress is so important in terms of adversity. And I do believe that anger is not going to help you to manage adversity. You don't like something, it's easy to say. But are you going to really handle it by balancing your energies and decide which will redirect you to articulate your intention is very important. Can I do it is different from I should do it. The choice of words about managing change will help you to manage your, any of these adversity. I think whenever there is a conflict, there is adversity around the adversity times. There's so much anger in the room. Everybody wants to take up. Everybody wants to decide. Everybody believes they're left out. Everybody wants to show that they are there to be a part of the change, right? But as a balanced leader, you're not worried about who is saying it. You're more worried about what is being said. Switching over from who to what will make you a very balanced leader. You're not worried about who is giving you a direction, but you're more concerned about what is being given in the direction. We can, all of us in this room can switch over from the who to what. A lot can change in the world. I'm going to stop here. Thank you so much. This is like a topic we can go with so many examples from the corporate world, but I would leave the room for more question answers because 30 minutes given to me, I'm done. Thank you, Kanika.
Thank you so very much, ma'am. Thank you. And it was a pleasure listening to all the great examples that you've given and the perspective, the kind of perspective you brought in. I'm being a youngster myself. These days, I see these wars on internet, literally, where men and women are fighting that where do we meet? How do we make things balanced and everything? But I think this perspective, if anybody who comes across this kind of a perspective would definitely be able to grow more out of their minds and, change their mindsets about how this really works, how surviving in this world really works, right?
Absolutely. I think, many of them, I think I always get very concerned as to why, if any of these topics are being discussed, they think, oh, a person has to be a feminist.
Right.
Or if a guy is trying to support it, and then they will say, what's wrong with this guy, right?
Yeah.
I think we just forget that the balanced leadership is so needed. Um, so I think when you become a leader, there is no gender in this, right?
Yeah.
All of us, for that matter, the minute we go into careers, it doesn't matter. I remember a school kid asked me, we run this Tech Beep program where we nurture class 12 students and they become full-time employees with HCL. We've been running it for the past 4 years. There was this one school going girl asked me and said, "You really think I can break the stereotypes at home? I come from a village where the girls are not led to study."
Yeah.
And I do believe that my dad often keeps telling me that daughters should be at home. I should learn how to cook and stuff like that. So I asked her one question that I leave it to you. I mean, you and your parents need to decide. But have you ever? You've been to so many hotels. How many of the women chefs have you seen? So is it mean that women can't cook, or women will only cook at home, right? So I think, and there are many hotels across the world which says that I need more female chefs as well. That's because it's not about, they want to bring a balanced leadership. They want to bring a gender balance in that. So I told it, I think there will be some things at home, some things at work, but you need to draw things from wherever you believe would be the best examples.
Right. Ma'am, while you were talking about, the balanced leadership, there is one thing that occurred to me suddenly. A lot of people who are watching us right now, and even the organization that has, made it possible for you to address us here today, we are all students. The person the kind of age I am in right now, most of us only think of profiteering from any work that we are doing, right? But we have forgotten a concept where we need to realize that all the businesses are also in the business of health. Now, this health does not primarily has to mean that it is our own health or our bodily health, but it is also about the health of the colleagues that are working with you, your own health, and the societal health. So what would you like to say to these people who think of mostly profiteering and, being in such a tender age, we are not able to see a bigger picture? So please address this issue as well.
Yeah. So I told you, right, there are two types of organizations.
Yeah.
Organizations which have this balanced energies in them, right, which would not think of health and think of people issues independent of the business they are doing, right? And there are companies which will kind of decide, which will say, hey, anything to do with people, anything to do with environment is all to do with compliance. One is compliance driven, and I will just focus only on profits, right? And the latter companies are the ones which will be severely impacted when there is an adversity, like the pandemic which has come right now.
Right.
I think. So it all depends on whether you want to be proactive or you want to be reactive when it comes to running your organization. But I can tell you 100%, organizations which has collective wisdom will have balanced leadership. And I'm sure within the first 5 years of running the business, they would choose what is the best path for sustenance. But if there are companies which are very myopic in terms of they want to make quick money, get those balance sheets and their market cap to go up because they want to sell it and then move on to something else, then I'm not here to talk for them, right? But this is like from the good to great. I don't know whether you read the book, right? The hedgehog concept. Have you read the book called The Good to Great? I think you must not get the book. Very interesting. And you will find some of those very, very interesting concepts of what happens to these two different kinds of organizations, right? Which are myopic versus those which are far-sighted, and as you go carry on a lot of what is considered to be beyond business will get integrated into the business for running the business.
Yeah.
There are very interesting examples. And even if you read C.K. Prahlad's core competencies, all those examples he has said, every company discovers its core competencies. But none of the core competencies will sustain if you don't invest in people. Right? So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So, enough about the businesses and the people. Let's come to this one point. So many youngsters are watching you right now, ma'am. You have definitely, been able to achieve a great position in your life, and you're doing really good. I would like you to share some mantras, some very simple and basic mantras, which we have definitely forgotten, but you would really like for all of us children, just like your children, to remember and work on them.
Okay. All right. I have 3 mantras, and I'm happy to, which has helped me overcome all the adversity that I have faced in my life as well. And I'm sure there are more to come, but these are the 3 things. I was a national level athlete when I was in school. And growing up in a small town, I used to practice only with boys. We didn't have, obviously, when you're on the track, there's only one track, right? And there's only one school. We can't expect too much in these places, right? Nothing has changed even till today. So my coach, he was extremely a fantastic man, and he told me when I used to run on the tracks with the boys, forget about boys, with others, right? He used to say that never look at the side when you run. Look only at your finishing line, then you win.
Right.
So, your competitors are there, corporators are at race, but I can't be looking at what others are doing. If I stay focused towards my finishing line, I'll finish it faster every time I'm trying to run that mile. Right? Running that mile faster, and how to run the mile faster than the others, it's up to you to pick it up. But the more you look at sideways, you're losing that time. And you're also being driven by the prejudices and perceptions that you have about, oh my God, I'm sure that person has had an extra booster shots. Maybe, my coach has been more kind to that person. Oh, maybe the jerseys he's wearing is making him run faster. Oh, I wish I could possess those spikes, which I don't have, right? So comparisons come when you run, and you want to look at your sideways when you run, right?
Yeah.
So I learned it at a young age, and I think that's very important mantra. Seriously, from my own self. The second thing that I learned as a woman leader, I think it's very important as a minority. I wouldn't call it as women, because in many places you still are a minority, depending on the profession you take, right? When you fall, don't wait for somebody to come and lend a hand and pick you up and try to take the dust from your face. I think it's important when you fall, you get up, you wipe your face, and then you put your heads up and just walk straight. So this aspect of somebody should come and guide you, somebody should motivate you, somebody should say you're good, and somebody, and you're so reliable on your performance management to say that you're the best in the world. I think those things are all there, but they are all very momentary, right? So how are you going to get up when you fall, and how quickly you get up and wipe the thing on your face and walk straight with the same pride you had before when you fell down? Like, I think that's my second mantra. The third mantra is that I take little affirmations, and I have one positive affirmation is that um, whenever I go back home, I know people are waiting. No matter whether you're a bachelor or you're married or when you have children, you go through different phases in life. Whatever it is, after long work hours, traveling 15 days at a stretch and going in and out of airports, you go in, and then behind the door there is a set of people who are so eager to see you, right? So every time I walk back home, I tell to myself, I'm a very happy person today, and I'm going to go home with a smile. Right? Because for that smile, there are a lot of people waiting. And when you smile, you feel much better, in respect of what has happened in the office. Because I still carry work to my to my home. I don't believe in this work-life balance and all that. These are all stereotypes. Okay.
Yeah.
Work-life continuity, work-life continuum is the mantra for all of us in the digital age. But people know I take home work as well, but I do bring smiles when I go home. So I think the third one is very easy to practice, difficult in many situations, but it's under your control. So these three mantras, I do believe, because they are independent and within myself. It's nothing to do with what my environment is all about.
Right. I'm not saying this thing just for the sake of saying this, but while this conversation has been going on, I must say that there is a glowing and glorious face on the screen who's talking reality. And thank you for being so real with all of us. Because a lot of people come to this platform and say things that they might not themselves be doing. And there are things that don't even exist or cannot be done by these people. But whatever you've said, it is real and can definitely be practiced, ma'am. And lastly, we have a question from the team. And they want to know that how can the proper decision making be understood in the startup industry during such haste and adversity?
I think startups are going through quite a bit of adversity at this time. I think it's also because the investments are there, but the investors are also, grappling with what is going on. But at the same time, the investments are also happening wherever there is balanced leadership. So the cause that matters and the sustenance of the cause of the startup also really matters. I think for people who are going into these startups, my only suggestion is that do not go to the investors with very long-term solution or a long-term investment that you really want. Right? I think it's important that we kind of pilot our go-to-market in the next 24 months, because I do believe that amidst this COVID times, your solution is on the winning scale. Post-COVID, it is certainly going to be only on the accelerated, going to go on an accelerated pace, right? Please be open to a lot of buts and ifs. Please be open to a lot of critical comments coming, because I think much of the leaders who are in the investment space are also stressed at this point in time. Right? So be a little human. Please do understand and please develop a lot of patience. A lot is not going to happen in the next 3 or 4 months. Right? I think the 2020 calendar year has been really not been very appeasing to any of us. I do believe a fresh year from 2021 should have some beginnings. And this is predictable also, right? Even in the financial markets, this was predictable. So please bear the patience a lot more and stay confident. The whole thing is going to turn around.
Because absolutely, for something new and great to come, the old things have to wash away in some manner, right?
Absolutely.
So, ma'am, from my side, from Team Spasmodic, from all the audience who has been pouring so many love and comments in the comment section, and I would like to read some of a few for you, because people are loving the way you have talked to everybody. So there is this person who has left a message that it was very interesting to hear your take on how masculine and feminine aspects tie into business. Really interesting. And there are so many other comments where people have shown love, and I think there's nothing better we could have achieved through this conversation, of course. So thank you once again for being with us. And one last concluding message is what Team Spasmodic wants to hear from you. So please.
Thank you. I think no matter what happens, wear your smile and be confident, because we live only once. Let's make this. So I wish you all success. No matter what, we are all successful in our own ways. And I'm very, very confident that students like you would transform the way the country is, or transform the way we live post the COVID times. And I'm surely betting on all of you. So wish you only success, lots of good health and happiness, and be safe.
Thank you so much for being with us, ma'am. And we hope to see you on campus very soon and host you in person.
Sure. Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. Good day
Thank you.
to all of you. Yeah,
Good day,
thank you,
ma'am.
HCL team. Yeah, thank you, team. Bye.
I welcome you all to this platform today. My name is Kanika Wig, and I take extreme pleasure today in inviting a guest with us. So we, as you guys already know, that bringing the leaders of today right at your screens is what we are trying to do, and we have been successfully doing the same from the past 4-5 months. And today, the organization, the student organization, come a new startup, has been able to bridge the gap between the leaders of today and tomorrow. I congratulate Vyas and his team for putting in such great efforts. And with this, not wasting much of the time, today we have with us Mr. Harshit Vyas, the Chief Business Officer, India, Oyo Hotels and Homes. Sir, I welcome you.
Hi guys, very excited to meet all of you. Thanks, Kanika.
Right. So, before we move forward, and I would like the audience to know a little about what Oyo is and what Harshit sir has been doing for the same. So, Oyo Rooms is a technology-driven branded network of hotels offering standardized stay experience at an unmatched price across the country and in many other cities of the world right now. Mr. Harshit Vyas, the Chief Business Officer, he has been able to set up Oyo's first office abroad at Kuala Lumpur, and he has been building its first overseas market, for which we congratulate him. He has also been leading the business across the country, working with business leaders and managing a very strong team of a big employee base across operations, business development, and sales, also the human resources. So we are delighted to have such a distinguished person between us today. And with this, I would now request Harshit sir to please tell his own story in his own words to all of us. Sir, over to you.
Thanks, Kanika. First of all, I would like to commend the great work that Vyas and team is doing. I think it's very important to bridge the gap that we have between students in the industry, and we also felt this while we were in college. So I think, and also this is about multiple other communities that exist in LPU, and also Kanika, that you have been hosting events which are helpful to many students and companies and communities. So good work, guys. So
Thank you.
And thank you for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to speak to students, and I learn so much from all of you. So coming back to my journey, like all of you, I was in college in IIT BHU, and I think these are the most amazing times for all of us in our life. It is where you see a lot of opportunities, you see so many roads ahead, right? But the tough part is, how do you choose? Right? It is a question that keeps on coming in everyone's mind, that which path should I do? So I'll tell you, it's a very tough one, and you'll not be able to figure out this answer clearly ever. It's a evolution. Every year you will learn something more about yourself. But what is important, what is easy to do, is to figure out what you don't want to do. That at least clears so many doubts in life and time. That if early in your life, early in your career, if you are ready to take risks, you are ready to make mistakes and learn from them, then a lot of options you'll be able to pick up from your life. You will say that, okay, I don't want to do these things. Then there are fewer options, and I want to concentrate and do well. That will make your focus much sharper, and you will do great things in life. So there was a similar journey that I had in college. In 5 years, I would have done like 400 things in 400 directions. I was a member of Indian Society of Nanosciences. I was working on carbon nanotubes. I was organizing events like this. I was running my own startup for 1.5 years. I was doing CFA. There was a time I wanted to go into investment banking. There was a time I wanted to be a scientist. There was a time where I wanted to, start something on my own. Multiple things. But yeah, I started making my list to a narrower options going forward. So one of the early members of Oyo, Anuj, who is my college senior, I used to meet him regularly, and I saw that how passionate he was about building this business. So I think the passion that Ritesh was carried in the early days, it was the attraction that I had. Because more than the business model, more than anything, the biggest value proposition at that time was how passionate these people were in building a unique business model and creating so much impact across country. So that's how I joined. They said, why don't you come and, uh, try what we are doing. And that's how simply I joined. It was not a big, long conversation or multiple days of discussion. Uh, then, and just 50, then we started attracting so many similar-minded people who were similarly passionate about what we do. I think that has been a great theme. Then for first few years, I was setting up the business development department for you. That business development working was the one getting hotels on board. Then I set up the center of excellence, which would set up processes every scale. Then I went to Malaysia for 1 year. Then I was leading Western region for a year. Now in my current role, I'm the chief business officer. I handle all the verticals in India, um, like information. That's what we.
Well, thank you so much, sir, for telling us your own story in your own words. And these are hard times, as we know. And, we have had two more keynote speakers before you. Yesterday, we had somebody from the industry, somebody from politics. And right before you, we had Ms. Srimathi Shivashankar, who also talked about the role of balanced leadership in today's times. It was times, right? So what is your take on the same? I would like to know from you that you are in a position where you have to manage multiple teams across various operations and, domains. So what do you think? What are your opinions about the same?
Yeah, so I think ma'am was absolutely right that the need of balance and diversity is so much needed, especially in these times. So we have one of the key important value propositions for team members and the work area that we have is that our company should be diverse but equal. Right? So you welcome as many groups, communities, gender participation as possible, but you make sure that everybody gets equal opportunity. So that kind of balance is required. But that balance is a very broad word. It is not just about equality and diversity. How do you bring about a right balance of initiatives where you are pushing people enough at the same time helping them enough?
Yeah.
So, uh, so Kanika, absolutely, I agree that a balance is much more needed in these tough times as people, their families, communities, and companies, all of us are facing a tough time against this pandemic. So, being there for them, understanding them, extending a hand of help is very.
Right. So, sir, Oyo is one particular brand which we know today in a very short span of time, it has been able to catch the people's eyes. Everybody knows about Oyo. So tell us that one thing that went right with the organization and you were able to achieve such a large, population sites and their hearts as well. How was the whole journey?
So, like I said, I think the biggest value that we was able to create was an entrepreneurial environment for super talented people.
Right.
If we can have equal ownership, and when people used to join in early days, they used to ask us, "What is my designation?" We used to tell that all of us are problem solvers, all of us are equal. There is no hierarchy. We work together and solve the problems that we face for this mission. So having that kind of environment that enables people to perform at their best was one of the key. Second, once you have those kind of people, how do you build processes around which can scale to the kind of ambitions that you have? The people and process are two fundamental pillars of your growth story that you see. And that
I think that is exactly what drives an organization towards success. And I congratulate you for all your achievements and milestones achieved in the past few years. So with this, times have changed now. We are now in a post-COVID era, post-lockdown era. So how is Oyo coping up with the current situation and how is it operating now post-lockdown?
So we are seeing very good positive response from customers. So we are now operating across 26 states and union territories, including larger states like Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Bengal, Maharashtra, almost everywhere. And
Right.
our uh, our occupancy levels are already at 30% of pre-COVID. Uh,
Mhm.
the, there are two big segments where we are seeing growth. Is one young millennials traveling, and second is small and medium scale enterprises, where people already started traveling for procuring goods, for providing services. So that's a segment that we are seeing good growth in. Also, over last 3 months, we have provided almost 100,000 room nights uh, for self-isolation or quarantine. So
Yeah.
it has been a big focus area that how can we help state governments, hospitals, embassies to help all the stranded guests that we have. For example, we are working with 15 embassies. There are many embassies where there's a direct call line to customer support.
Mhm.
If there is any foreigner of that particular country stuck, then their calls they land up at customer support center at OEM and help them in finding accommodation. At the same time, we have around 50 plus hospitals that we are working with. So that has been
Okay.
one side of it. The other side is how do you get your safety and hygiene standards up? So we have trained almost about
Yeah.
1,000 partners in an initiative
Mhm.
called Sanitize School, where they are given a very strict SOP, what kind of cleaning materials to use, what kind of information to be posted or pasted in the room, in the reception area, what are the clear government guidelines that are there. So that has been a big focus area. Uh, Other than that, there are multiple partner level support initiatives that we have to understand that everybody is going through tough time. So how do we support our partners and make sure that they are able to navigate these?
Okay. So there has been a lot of collaboration with the, like you said, a lot of high commissions and other places. I would like to know that since the lockdown, people weren't able to get out of their homes. How were you able to manage a team and, get so many people uh, on board at that very moment, having these people work tirelessly, especially with people who were at the risk of being, COVID positive?
So it's a very good question. One, we have always ensured that the safety and security of our team members and community is the highest priority. None of the business priorities have
Yeah.
taken over that priority. So there are clear instructions to people, there are clear instructions to team members. But what has helped us in during this time is a lot of technology products that we're working on. Now they are those products have been released. Our partners have already been used. For example, we have an app called Koyo app for our partners, where we can communicate with them, where we can tell them about our transaction details, reconciliation, other schemes which are coming out. So that takes a lot of human interaction away. So our people over calls and over video
Yeah.
calls, we can explain them how to use Koyo app and what are the new initiatives. So people are working from home and they are doing taking all the precautions required. But at the same time, I'm very happy to share that the efficiencies are all time high. People are working uh, very efficiently. They are utilizing their times well, and the numbers are going up. So I think the technology has played a very good role in making sure that we are able to do.
Kudos to the efficiency and the efforts of the team, sir. One more thing is that currently the travel industry is something that is closed, shut down completely, right? And the hotel industry primarily depends upon the travelers and people traveling from other countries or even inside the country. So, what are the travel trends that OYO is witnessing currently?
So like you said that travel will never be same. So it's not that it is shut. People are traveling,
Yeah.
and there are some green shoots that in different channels that we see. For example, to share different kinds of trends. One is that still significant of the travel is happening in the larger cities. For example, Gurgaon, Bangalore, Mumbai, Hyderabad. They still continue to be have a larger portion. Second is our in-city staycation is picking up very fast. So people are still choosing their personal transport options rather than choosing a public transport. So within the same city, travel is increasing, especially in larger cities. Third is for healthcare workers, there is a very large requirement that we have across cities, across states. So that's a big use case where healthcare workers, because they want to isolate themselves, they are staying in hotels which are specifically designed and being operated for such needs. The third, which I said already, is the small and medium scale enterprises. We are already looking at a very good trend of increased travel, which is interstate or intrastate, but where these people are traveling already.
Mm-hmm.
The other trend is now people are looking for longer stays. Same person
Okay.
was traveling for a day. Now people are,
Mm-hmm.
for example, they travel for 5-6 days, so
Mm.
that again they are taking all the right precautions
Right.
while traveling. The other big change that we are seeing now, there's a there's a large need coming uh, from especially millennials for
Mm-hmm.
apartment, service apartment. Because, for example, if you are not getting maids, you are not getting other domestic support, then people want to be in apartments which are hygienic, and you get all the services that you need. So there is also a big, uptick in demand that we see for
Right.
this.
So Harshit sir, like you've told, like you said previously, that there are many new collaborations and partnerships with other people, right? So you are partnering with many suppliers and other organizations, I'm sure. So there must be some problems that these people must be facing because of the supply chain also has been hindered quite a lot during this period. So can you please share some of these challenges?
So, first of all, I'm happy to share that we work with almost 19,000 plus hotel and homes partners across
Mm-hmm.
India. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a very large base. Uh, the big challenges that our partners are facing today. One is, uh, unpredictability of situation. Right? For example, in a state there is a lockdown for a weekend suddenly, then the full week they are locked down. The next 15 days there's nothing, and then another lockdown comes. And of course, for the all right reasons that government is doing. But
Yeah.
it becomes very unpredictable for our partners to plan their resources, their travel, and their operations.
Mm-hmm.
Second big one is, of course, revenues have dipped, so cash flow becomes a challenge. Third is there is a very big problem in finding staff. So because laborers they have traveled to their home states, uh, still people are not willing to travel to larger cities. So it is another challenge that we're facing. So, but what we are doing is for each of these problems, we have figured out that whatever best we can do and extend support to our partners, we are doing. First is over the period of months, last few months, there have been multiple value-added services that our partners used to opt for. So we have given more than 24 crores of discounts in the commissions which were payable to us in the last 3 months. Second is we are continuing our weekly reconciliation so that weekly whatever payment is due, our partners get. So the working capital is not an issue. Third, uh, there's a scheme called Aegis Secure, which is like online wallet for our partners, where we are giving 30% top up to all our partners. We are giving discounts for recharges, etc. And fourth is sharing relevant information to your partners is very important. Whether that is a new operating process, whether that is a new best practice, sending those emails, notifications, working with governments to make sure that they are getting all the support. All that is what we have.
Right. So that was more about OYO and business, right? Now I would like to know more about the real Harshit Vyas, whom most of us do not really know, right? Given the kind of chair you are sitting in right now, you are the chief business officer, you're managing operations across so many domains, a bigger team to handle. My question to you is that this chair has legs that always keeps shaking because, someone or the other always comes and pops up with a new problem or something like that. So how do how are you able to keep people happy, keep so many people happy around you so that they are motivated even when they're working, or, they're even happy when they go back home from work? How are you able to manage the whole thing?
Very good and tough question. Kanika. The thing is, it is never about just making people happy. You always end up
Mm-hmm.
complex situation that you can't solve. It is about being fair in situations, right? So whatever is best for the organization, for the people, it might be tough. It might not make happy, make everyone happy all the time, but it is about being fair and honest with your team. I think that has always been one priority. Second is, it is a relationship of mutual respect, then it's a happy partnership.
Right.
If you are able to extend the same respect to your team members for the hard work and effort that you're putting in, then they will value you. So it's a two-way road. So that is second. And third is transparency. If you are transparent with your team members, that okay, this is the solution, this is what is happening, or even this is the problem that I can't solve. But having that transparent relationship is another key foundation to have a very strong uh, 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 team situation very much. So, and the most important is that the key team members that I have, they are so strong and so talented that honestly they do all my work. So, I'm just taking the credit and
I must compliment you here. You have very nicely been able to answer the very tough question you thought it was in at first. So, anyways, there are times, I'm sure, you are in a hotel industry. Now is the time where everybody is locked up in their houses. So, what is that one thing that you were able to do and learn during this lockdown?
So I spend more time in garden now.
Oh.
So find me digging mud here and there, putting more plants. I always am excited to see new plants coming up, new leaves coming up. So
I can see greenery in the background as well.
yeah, it's like our house is full of plants.
Okay.
So every third day we are adding one. I think it's our bit of something for climate that we can do. And of course, we keep contributing to the organizations which are into plantation and climate change. But it is something that we do personally and the kind of feeling that is unmatchable. So I think that gives a lot of positivity and it is very relaxing being with plants.
Absolutely. Very refreshing at the same time. So, I was reading an article, and in this article, I would, it's rather a very nice thing to say. So, the founder of Oyo Hotel said that, I trust this friendship that I have formed with Harshit, and I trust him with his guts and everything. So, my question to you is that, given the kind of support you have from the team, given the kind of position you are in, what are some of the initiatives that you see you want Oyo to be taking in the coming few years?
So all of us are working on one, making sure that, like I said, our technological products will become much better. For our partners, customers, for example, there are still many issues for which our customers need to call our support center. How can we make sure that all those can be solved through self-help to our providers?
Right.
If there are similar escalations for our partners, why can't it be solved through technological innovation?
Right.
Those are top priorities. The other one is that, as you know, customer experience is a journey. You are never there. I can't say that all customers are happy now. Journey of evolution. So other big priority, like always, remains that all our stakeholders to do justice to their expectations, whether that is customer, whether that is partner, whether that is our team member. So that will be a big priority that all of us need to take ourselves.
We have a very active audience right now watching you, Harshit sir, and people are impressed, I must say. So there is this person, her name is Muskan Patel, and she has a question for you that Oyo has witnessed a large number of layoff rate in the past few months. So how do you see their comeback and new employ people? Unemployment rate is high, of course, tough in challenging times. But then again, how is Oyo planning to get back this workforce or helping in the same?
So Kanika and hi Muskan. So if you would have read the articles and the declarations or statements from our team here, that there was no layoff in last 2 months. People were put on furlough. So they were partially paid, and we were actively involved and actively engaging with all of them. And as we are doing that right now. So, but as all of you know, the times are unpredictable. As the situation improves, we'll continue to get our people back. But I don't know, even if the WHO head today can tell that within the next 7 days how situation will be. We are trying our best. The situation that all of us are in as a country, as a community, which is highly important.
Yeah, right. So we have another question, Harshit sir. This one's from Mr. Kshitij Shivani, and he wants to know that the hospitality or hotel industry has been impacted largely by COVID, and with OYO being the biggest hotel chain in India, how have you managed to stay afloat? So Kshitij sir has very nicely answered the question in the previous parts. Did you plan this in terms of your runway? So did you?
I don't think any company in the world or any government or any authority would have planned this. If anyone would have seen this, we all would have planned it much better. But I think this is the reality of life and reality of business that such tough situations will keep hitting you. What is important that how you react in situations, because not every situation can be planned.
Right.
So I think we have been trying our best to do this.
With this, a very, very interesting question has popped up. How does a business prepare itself and become more resilient? I would like this to know. I would too like to know this in your words. How do you think a business becomes more resilient? What are the few steps that can be taken?
One, I have always believed in this principle that business is made of people and products. So resilience comes from them. If you have a resilient team and if you have a resilient product that takes care of the market anomaly, then of course your business can be resilient. But the big focus can be on efficiency. That you build up efficiency which are far higher than your normal needs. If you take away your eyes from efficiency for some time because business is doing fine, then you will not be ready for tough situations. Make sure that the business efficient product is getting better. You are taking customer feedback as frequently as possible. So I would say that we as a company are obsessed with our frontline interaction, customer interaction. We keep talking to our partners, customers almost on a daily basis. If you do that, you will know the reality. You will know what changes are required. So that will make your business resilient. And of course, I can talk about 100 more things. But these are like topmost things that come.
Right. So thank you so much again for the, for very nicely putting it up for every student who's watching you right now. And since many students and youngsters are watching you, Spasmodic Group itself is a new budding organization. What are your, startups are seeing a tough time right now. So what are some of the things that you would like to say to these people?
I would say these are tough but very important times. 50% of Fortune 500 companies were started in a time like this, and almost 7 to 8 of unicorns that we have in the world were started in times like this. So also this pandemic situation has created a lot of opportunities. This is an opportunity for self-improvement, adding more skills, being more resilient. But all of us will come out way stronger when we get within the market. So I think be positive. Make sure that you are becoming a better person every day. If you are a startup, make sure you are becoming more resilient every day. You are rethinking your product strategy, you are rethinking your market strategy. But don't give up. It is not the time to give up, but it is time to get stronger. So that's my message.
Well, I'm sure people are impressed. A lot of love is flowing inside the comment section right now. So Angela Mahajan has a question for you, and a very interesting question rather. So as we all can see, a very funny yet important thing has been declared by the government in the past few months, that weddings are only supposed to happen with 30 people now. 50 it was earlier, but 30 people now. So how do you see the wedding and events business for OYO in future?
I mean, this is the way our culture has evolved over years. So I don't think this will go away. Uh, People are still optimistic and they are postponing their events rather than canceling any of those. Or there are people who are opting for smaller gatherings and making sure their guests and all. But we are seeing a big flow in future bookings uh, for after
Right.
2 months. So I think that continues to be a big thing. Uh, but of course, for now, people are taking all the precautions and they're worried. But I think that no amount of precaution is enough in this situation. People should
A lot of excited wedding pictures are already flowing and floating on the internet. So I'm sure that the events business would not be much affected, and especially would things would only be better in the coming few days, right? Um, so let's come to a different mood now. Harshit, sir, what are your hobbies? What are the things that you enjoy doing apart from handling the hotel business?
see one. Whenever I get time, I pick up my phone and start calling my team members because it's a family. I can't say it's just work that you can get off. Um, So I love speaking to my team, getting to know what are they up to, what are they cooking, what are they doing. Help. So and I'm fortunate to have a large team where it is never enough. There are so many people and so many talented people that I learn so much from. So whenever I get time, I pick up my phone, start calling and connecting. Second, I told you, me and my wife Divya, all of us, my mom, we'll just go to garden and see what's wrong, any what I want, what can I do, and which vegetable should I grow now, etc. And third, again, whenever I get time, that's
So were you able to impress somebody?
impress who.
But I was impress somebody with your cooking skills during the lockdown. Your family members, of course.
I could only impress by my efforts, not the skills. But yeah, I uh, I love pani puri, and all I could make was the pani for it. But uh, but I do my bit on it.
Okay. Well, with this, another audience question time. So Amlan Mishra wants to know, how do you think is a balanced decision made during the adversity and not being, not panicking much during this scenario? So how do you make most of your decisions?
So decisions, one, it has to be kept. It has to be keeping in mind your stakeholders, right? Like we talked about this earlier, and being fair, not emotional. So if you are emotional or panicked in a situation, however smart you are, you'll end up taking a wrong decision. Just make sure that
Right.
you are calm enough. You are thinking through, talking about scenarios, and then taking the right decision for your customers, partners, and team members. If you have those three lenses in mind, I think this will take you closer to the right answer. If
That's
you don't,
great. Absolutely great. Yeah. Uh, so many people who are watching us right now, and me personally, I think the past few months have been challenging and they have been very testing, right? Our patience has been put to test. So tell us about that one thing that keeps you moving forward all the time and keeps you in your positive spirits every time.
so I keep telling this to my team. They are my inspiration. The amount of stories I hear. Let me tell you a few of them. For example, one team member in our Jaipur team, he distributes like almost 20 to 30 meals a day, to the community nearby. Uh, there are there are people, their family is into healthcare. They are going all the way out to help people.
Yeah.
So there are people who are health freaks and they are just crossing their limit. There are people who take like 25,000 steps a day. There are people who do God knows how many push-ups. So everything we talked about, I have so many inspiring people that I work with. I always find myself short of those aspirations. and say, okay, I need to push myself, do better, whether that is business, whether that is personal life. I think that is a great thing that OYO has been able to deliver, that we have so many talented people around, that you always feel there's so much more.
Right.
I think once you have that in life, that means your friends, that means your family, but always surround yourself with better
Mm-hmm.
people who are tenacious. I think you will never be short of pushing yourself. I think that keeps you going.
So I think this one is the major takeaway from today's conversation, that all the positivity and all the goodness can be found right in ourselves and around us only if we look in the right places, right? So it has been a very, very good and interesting conversation with you, Harshit sir. So many people have been watching us live, and so many are still joining us live on Facebook, on YouTube, and other platforms where we are doing this. So, but there's the time constraint again. And before we part, I would ask you, being the young, what would be your message today to your younger self? What would be your message?
One thing retrospectively, I think is very important, that please read as much as possible. You know, that is one way of adding a lot of experience as fast as possible. In my early childhood, my summers were like reading hundreds of books. That really added a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
That is one. Second, whenever you are facing a situation, always put yourself in other person's. Always. Why that person is doing what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
You will learn so much, and you'll be able to manage situations in a way more mature manner that you can. That's very important. I think these two takeaways, where uh, read as much as possible, you will get your experience doubling up like a weekday. Uh, Second is, think from other perspectives, whether that is your friend, whether it is your family, you'll be able to manage situations in life, and that's all the life is about, right? You are reacting to things that are happening, you are proactively planning something, but there are situations every day, every second, and how you react, uh, uh, and then everything else is the outcome of your life. So I think that will help you in keeping that balance. So that's what.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so very much for joining us today in the e-business conclave 2020, Harshit sir. It was a pleasure hosting you and listening to all your thoughts and how OYO is going to is functioning and has been able to operate so well even during these hard times. I congratulate you, your leadership skills, your team, for putting out such great efforts and helping people out even during these hard and tough times. So with this, it's time to say goodbye. But before we part, again, I would like to congratulate Team Spasmodic, and I would like to, congratulate everybody for putting in such great efforts and bringing to our screens none other than Mr. Harshit Vyas. Thank you so much for being with us, Harshit.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thanks, Vyas. Thanks, Kanika. Thank you.
Right.
Tell you all that today at e-business conclave 2020 we have a wonderful, impeccable, and a very energetic personality. We have the CEO of Davidoff India, Mr. Manvendra Singh, live with us, and I am pretty sure that this session is going to be so fruitful for all of you who are eagerly waiting to grab knowledge. I'd like to tell you all that this session is also the closing ceremony of e-business conclave 2020. So be excited to know more about what happens during business, or what what are the opportunities that you have to grow, how can you lead a successful business. So all these different aspects of business and life will be answered by Mr. Manvendra Singh. But before he presents his presentation, I'd like to read out a little bit of detail about his work that he's been doing. Mr. Manvendra sir has been driving change and growth across various industries, including FMCG, beverages, dairy, etc. He has helped in the establishment of the company's vision in the country and has made it a stronghold for the future sustainable and profitable businesses. He has been coming up through the ranks. He's versatile, accomplished professional, with sales and marketing being his forte. He's led the team from the front and not only created businesses, but also some world-class organizations which today are representing the organization in headquarters. I believe his profile has so many things, so many glories, which I won't be able to explain in the next few minutes, but I'm pretty sure that during this conversation, we're going to learn a lot from him. So I'd like to first request Mr. Manvendra, sir, to kindly start off with his keynote address.
Thanks a lot, Vishnu. And thanks a lot, Lovely Professional University, for inviting me. It's a great pleasure to be with such young leaders of future. I've been personally a very big fan of Lovely Professional University since the time the campus was built. And it has become a very big brand, at least in North India, definitely in India as well. Now, I understand during this pandemic time, everyone is under lockdown, lots of digitalization is happening and lots of webinars and calls and speeches are happening. But don't worry, this is the last one of this session. And I will try to keep it general and bit more relevant because I understand all the different people from different streams are joining today. And I will try to summarize what you've been going through in different sessions, in different discussions. Now, the flow will be very simple. I will quickly take you through some of the things which I've been doing, what I believe in, because what I understand is, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Okay, so when I see you guys, I go back a couple of years and I was also a student trying to understand from the industry, from the experiences, and now I take pride in sharing some of those best practices and putting myself into your shoes that what definitely matters a lot. Technical knowledge, technical things will be there. But if I have to summarize my 22 years of experience, and if I have to go back on the drawing board, what all things I will keep in my mind. So some of the bullets I will talk today. And I've asked Vishnu to encourage some questions in between. If you can't do in between, at least at the end of session. So it will help me to gauge. So I was going through your site and think big came on top of my mind. This is your mantra. Believe me, it's a very, very meaningful, very powerful, very impactful statement. Think big. Because if you think big, you get big. Now, with this mantra in line, I started my career and it's been 22 years across the industry, from stationery, from alcobev to tobacco to dairy, FMCG. Been taking pride in working with world's best companies and best brands. And all this came up from the ranks. I was not chosen from the top. It came all the time from bottom up. And what are the things which is making it happen? So what fundamental remains same is your passion, your drive to learn new things, to share your best practices. If you have that, you can excel in whichever stream you want to choose for. So I would encourage my young leaders, since you have already spent some time today to attend this call, this is your time to take an opportunity and understand what is exactly your passion, right? I was just understanding from your colleagues what are the different sessions you've already gone through. There are lots of good speakers talking about startups, talking about leadership, talking about diversity, how to overcome this pandemic. That is all fine. But there are too many people in the campus. So first of all, you are unique and you need to identify yourself what is ideal for you. And once you have started identifying your own sword, You have to narrow down and make it happen, believe it happen every single day. This is something to summarize because Vishnu, I understand there are lots of streams attending today, so I'm just trying to make it applicable to everyone. Now, once that is happening, you have to believe in yourself. You don't have to worry about your trajectory, comparing with others. You are unique, but you need to identify what exactly suits you best, what you definitely want to do. Your parents have been very kind enough. You have come in your career so far. Now this is just the last stop before you come on this side of the table and start working and start contributing to the society in a much bigger manner. But as a student, this is your last leg to still keep on learning and expanding your horizon. And this is where you'll have to be honest. You have to understand what you definitely need for. Now, one of the lab experiment, which is very close to my heart. In fact, this was my first experiment of life. When we were in junior schools, there was an experiment that you take a magnifying lens, you take a piece of paper, and in the middle of the afternoon, if you focus with the sun, the corner of the paper, tip of the paper will start burning. It's very close to me, that experiment, and that I want to emphasize as the art of focus. Now, since you have identified what you want to do, your passion, you are confident about yourself, you believe in yourself, now you'll have to keep focusing every day, every single moment, and you will start finding that flame which you were looking for, you yourself can create. On the same time, I will very quickly just trying to touch base on some of the bullet points, and then I will go back to the normal professional career and how it works in the corporate life. But these are the operating system which can be established now. And for me, these things are the most important because this can't be changed later on. And if you have this, getting the new skills and getting the new techniques will become easy. So I can see there's lots of peer pressure and lots of competition these days, and somewhere we are missing the bigger picture and we are taking life too seriously. I would say take a step back, have an emotional balance. It's not about the destination. It's also about the journey. Enjoy your each single day. I'm not saying that you will not create a big future, but don't compromise your present. If you are living your present properly, your future definitely will be fine. So some of the things like self-awareness, self-regulation, keeping yourself motivated, having empathetic, social skills, these are the soft skills which will definitely help you to understand life better. Now I was talking about lots of comparison, be it from CBSE 10th class standard result to 12th class result, parents shouting on top of it, my kid secured 98.6%. That is fine. I'm not denying people have put lots of effort in it and they should boast, but that doesn't mean anything to you. Because whatever you are, no one else can implicate that. You are unique and you should take pride of being in your own orbit. Nature has created you something for a bigger thing. Don't try to be someone else. Try to identify your own self and create something. Coming out of comfort zone. So I'm from a very small town in North India called Allahabad. And from day one, I was very clear that after inculcating all the basic knowledge, I would be out of my comfort zone. I'll keep hopping, I'll keep learning, I'll keep seeing new countries, new continents, new industries. Because if you get stuck with one thing, you are very good in that, but then you are restricting your growth. So I'm encouraging you to challenge yourself. Whenever you think you are doing very well in something, something is missing now. You have to start coming out of your comfort zone and you need to create. Now, these are very bold mantras. It sounds very theoretical, but as I told you, that 22 years ago, I was a student like you. I was listening, and believe me, all the technical jargons which I was told, I don't remember. But some of these things I still remember, and I picked that and kept on harnessing. And till date, I'm still a student, I'm still learning. And now I'm just trying to share with you. It will become very interesting if you will agree or disagree with some of my opinions, because then we can build it up the conversation. It should not be a monologue. Let's make it a bit more participative as the time comes. Now we are seeing lots of new technologies. See, under lockdown, people are still talking to so many people. This is a tremendous potential, and we should be open enough. We should be open enough to understand it even better now. So you have to keep expanding your horizon and keep yourself equipped how to adapt with the new technological age. We've just seen how TikTok has been banned and there's a vacuum. So these are the times when we need to identify as a student that what am I going to learn and how am I going to contribute. It's not about growth, but it's also about sustainable growth overall as a 360 degree, be it with the environment, be it with ecology, be it with yourself, be it with your society. Your personality needs to grow. It's not about career. Don't be a careerist, but try to create something which is long-term sustainable, and it's simple. And I will tell you later how these I'm just bombarding with some of the bullet words, which has become my style of life now. And at the same time, I'm talking about futurology. There are multinationals, there are companies who have stopped working on their current practices. They are already working on 20 years ahead. These are the technology which we have to start thinking. You are a leader for today, but that doesn't mean you'll be leader 5 years down the line. So how well we are equipping as an organization, same holds true as an individual. So as an individual, what are you trying to invest in yourself so that you will be well adapted for the new models? Otherwise, the old models are getting obsolete very fast nowadays. Now, when you will be taking all this comfort zone and coming out of your comfort zone and trying out something new, making yourself sustainable growth, there are bound to be some mistakes. Don't be apprehensive about it. Learn from your mistakes, and things will become slowly and steadily very easy. I was reading in all the newspapers, articles, very close to your university, you guys were able to start even seeing the Everest, the entire Himalayan range, not Everest, but entire Himalayan range. So let's take this opportunity of this crisis. Let's let it not go waste. Let's learn from it. It's something to reboot the year 2020. Let's understand what we as a humans were busy doing with. We have gone through a lot of advancement in past 2 decades. And now again, post this corona and pandemic will be over, we are sure that we will come back to bounce back. But how best we can learn from this? If society needs a clean air, how can we contribute? Be it as an individual, be it as an enterprise, be it as a startup. What are the things? And the things which I was talking about, motivation and all, my personal belief is if you are taking energy from the nature, you are having a harmony with nature, you are already on top of it. You are ready to give your best. So I'm a very big fan of these bullet words, and I hope some people are taking note of it and they are not very sure what am I trying to convey. And if they will come up with some questions, that will be even better, because then I'll elaborate a bit more. Also, the time, sorry.
So there is a question from one of the participants. The question is that, do you ever think about people who judge you of the career choices that you make? What do you do with people who judge you because of the career choices that you make? That's the question.
Excellent. At least someone is looking about my industries. This is why I was taking you with my following slides, because to be very honest with you, it doesn't matter to me what others think about me, how they judge me. It is their prerogative. I'm in my own orbit and I'm enjoying my journey. I should be better than yesterday. That's all what matters. Yeah, as I told you, I'm coming from a small town. We are still very conservative society. So when parents and their society, their colleagues come to know that आपका लड़का cigarette बेच रहा है, शराब बेच रहा है, so it's not a very glamorous thing. But I will not blame anyone because they have not been exposed to all these things, what I am doing. But I should be confident what I am doing. And believe me, I'm having a big passion towards my consumers, and I'm providing them the choices. I'm not encouraging them with anything new that form a habit. But if they have a habit, I'm providing them a good experience with the good choices. And this is why it keeps me ticking. I always try to learn from different industry. At the same time, the fundamental remains same. Your sales discipline, your managerial capability, your people-driven style, your process orientation will help you to come to the boardroom. And coming to the boardroom is not that difficult, but now the real game starts, that what sort of a decisions you make and what sort of a team building you are doing, that makes all the difference. So coming back to the specific question, no, I've been very lucky, because the minute they start interacting with me, they start falling in love with my industry, and they start envying me that how swiftly I've been exposed to such a variety range of expertise.
All right, sir. I think that answers the question. So, also, sir, one thing, while you are, sir, am I audible to you?
Yeah, please go ahead.
I was saying that while you are answering the question, maybe you can switch the screen, because while you're answering the question, we still have the presentation going on. But for now, since you have answered the question, I think it's good to go with the presentation. But in future, in case we get more questions, I want you to kindly shift the screen towards your particular face as well. Is that fine, sir?
Yeah, it's absolutely fine. So what I was telling is that this is the time when we are all in digital age, but still don't give up the opportunity to read some good books. I'm not saying read these ones, but whatever motivates you, whatever is your passion, make it a habit. Try to read some books, and these are the things which keeps you motivating. So these were some of the points which I wanted to discuss with you all. And now coming back to the original flow, that why I'm here and what are we doing together. So as I was telling through these bullet points, Vishnu and everyone, that I was a small person from a small city with some very good ambitions. I was not very sure what am I going to do, how am I going to do. But one thing was always consistent: to live in the moment, be realistic to yourself. And then I started my career in 1998 from a very frontline role. I was given a managerial role in a campus, and I didn't choose for that. In fact, I went something out of blue. I went like a frontline what happens, and that helped me to understand even today how it works there. And then from there, once you have understood the basics of the fundamentals of the distribution, the marketing, the sales, the return on investment, the cash flow, how it works, then you kept on changing the industry, changing the location. But what remained common, consistent across, was how well you connected with the brand, with the consumer, with the geography in a very short span of time. So I was taking my personal experience that if you are so clear and you are so passionate about the inner flame, what you have, you will start getting the right messages, right signals. Sometimes people also ask me that how come you've got so many different variety opportunities? So this is what I'm trying to tell you, that linking is possible. If you are consistent, you are following your path, you will start getting the right messages, right? And this is why one of the book which I was showing, there's a book called The Celestine Prophecy. It really made a lot of impact in my life. It talks that nothing happens in life as a coincidence. Everything is happening for a purpose. And if you can link and you can read the message, you can create a story with that. And that is all I've been doing all this while and still going on. Academically, the student life is over. Now it is more professionally. I'm still learning. I'm not very a competent person to talk about strategy and give you a lecture. But as I told you, I just want to take you through some of the very, very basic steps. It's a bigger audience today. So I've tried to keep it very general, but in future, if any particular stream, any particular specific department would like to cover some topic, I'll be more than happy to share my experience. So some of these thoughts was coming to my mind, Vishnu, this which I've shared with the audience. Now I will encourage if there are some questions.
Questions that have been asked by students. There's one question coming in from Piyush. He's asking this question that how do you deal with the stereotypes that have been put forth in front of you, especially in the field of hotel management?
Stereotypes in the field of hotel management?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me give you my experience. When I was in school days, my college captain, he was very aspirational for me, and I thought that, oh my God, how can student be so smart? And then later on, I was following him, and he chose hotel management. So I'm talking about 1988, 89. That was the time when this phenomena was new, and best of the best were choosing all these things. So that was my perception about hotel management, very, very high. And now in 2020, you are coming up with the questions like why there is so much of stereotype and how do you confront in hotel management. So what I'm trying to say is hotel management is a very beautiful industry. It caters hospitality. It's a very service orientation. Now, if the individual believes that his set of skills, his traits is service driven, they want to contribute in hospitality industry, then hotel management is a prerequisite. And that doesn't restrict you to get confined to a particular designation. It is just an inroad. In my career, I've selected people from hospitality management, working with some reputed hotels of the country, and then switching the industry, coming into a consumer product. And across the life span, their hospitality always came very handy for them, and it helped. So the challenge here is stereotype. That is where my slide of comfort zone comes in play. Be it hospitality, be it hotel management, or any particular trade for that matter, that is the handicap. When you confront with the stereotypes where they've been used to working in a particular manner, in a particular phase, that is not which is going to last. You have to evolve. You have to build on your strengths. You have got some really nice strengths from hotel management. But now you'll have to build it with the real management, the MBAs, and then how your organization works, how your profitability works, how your industry works. You have to broaden your horizon. That prerequisite, which you guys are doing in Lovely University as a course, is a prerequisite. That's it. But that doesn't mean your growth, your learning will stop. You'll have to keep on augmenting, inculcating every single day something related to your industry. And coming back to your question, the answer is very simple. They get stuck. They just follow the league. They don't stand out. And you don't have to get trapped by it. Good luck to them. But you have to learn. You have to grow. You have to challenge the status quo. And there is some really great innovations happening in that particular industry. Your hotel management, your hospitality industry can be very handy for you to become as a future leader.
All right, sir. We have the next question coming in from Angela Mahajan. She's asking this question: what all challenges you have faced when you were working with the company Diego?
So Diageo, this is world's biggest liquor company. They produce brands like Johnny Walker, Smirnoff, VAT 69, Black and White, and now they have also acquired the USL, United Spirits Limited. It's one of the biggest company in India also. So as you can see from my industry, I was in a stationery industry, and in stationery, there were two range. I was representing Faber-Castell. This was a German multinational which entered the market. And we used to have two range. One was called Red Range for kids, for which you have to go to the schools and art teacher and the stationers. And on one side, there was a Green Range, which is for the corporate clientele, your highlighters and all the other technical engineering stuff. Now, coming from that background of stationery, I was chosen for Diageo, and Diageo was not able to crack the most populous state of the country called Uttar Pradesh. And I took that as a challenge that I will enter the market with the company. I will establish the brand, the registration, the alliance with the government, because it's very regulated market. You have to take all the permission. But that self-belief and that passion that whichever stream I will choose, it's a consumer product. I'm providing consumers the best choice, and it is the road less traveled. So let me only crack this. And believe me, these type of a greenfield projects starting from scratch gives me a very good kick. It makes me feel that, okay, at least it's worth trying, and you don't have any idea what sort of a satisfaction you get. So within a short span of time, everything was turned around. People were not ready to accommodate. It was not even listed there. And just in a span of 6 months, things started moving. Once it started moving, in spite of being a dark market as a marketeer, you are not allowed to do anything in these industries. But there are still some options available, like a switch selling or a spot selling when the consumer is coming at the point of sale, how you can communicate to them, how you can educate them. That was legally permissible. But your consistency, your vision, how exactly you can do, started getting me result. And some of the best practices during those times, there used to be cartels and people were not very sure about your brand. They have a very high expectation. But the way you created a critical mass, economy started opening. Even the restricted markets started getting the pressure from their consumers. They were open to discuss with you. And things started moving very fast. So I will say I take pride in 2001 when I launched the brand in that state, and now it's much more, very bigger. It's doing very well.
All right, sir. I think that answered the question as well. Now I think I can ask some of my questions that I wanted to ask you, since we've been asking you the questions from the audience. The first question that
Vishnu, sorry to interrupt you. I don't want to bombard the audience with lots of slides and the jargons, but you understand what I'm trying to convey. So on behalf of the audience, you should challenge me, you should ask me whatever comes to your mind, because then we'll be able to make it a bit more interesting rather than me making it only theoretical. So please shoot.
Definitely, sir. That was going to be my first question. Do you really believe that these theoretical mantras that we get, they actually help students in succeeding in real life, because sometimes the practicality is completely different from theoretical aspects that we are being taught.
So Vishnu, I believe the name stands for a lot. It's not by coincidence that your name is Vishnu. If parents have given you a name, it will start making its impression on you, right? So as an individual, before hotel management, before engineering, before MBA, we are an individual. We have a name, right? And we have our own value system. We have our own package system. All these theoretical things are important because in the society, there is a protocol. You have to follow that. You have to get educated. You have to pass out. Then you will be in a job. Even in the job, you will start from lower positions before going to the higher positions. But what is common across is your DNA. It's a very biological terminology. I'm not trying to talk about deoxyribonucleic acid, that DNA. But I'm talking about your own uniqueness, your own DNA. That makes all the difference. So I'm not averse of all this theoretical, but I will say that is not enough. What makes the difference is you yourself, and I am not the first one who is talking this, but why you should listen to me, because forget about Manvendra Singh, who he is, but at least if he's saying that it has helped him in the last 22 years, I'll give you my experience. In my childhood, I was very careful, very cautious. You can say a very pessimistic sort of a personality. Nahi, ye to nahi hoega, mera to kuch nahi hoega. I was that sort of a person. And now, slowly, when I started learning, when I started growing, I started challenging myself. And I have become an incorrigible optimist. That kaise nahi hoega, everything is possible. Yes, but you have to be realistic. You have to know your potential, what is capable, what you are capable of. So coming back to your question, that yes, theoretical knowledge is good, but that's not enough. Theoretical knowledge has to be coupled up with your own desire, with your own inner belief. And then if I can see some faces in the audience and they are thinking कि भाई ये थोड़ा ऊपर से जा रहा है, ये बहुत ही ज़्यादा bookish knowledge है. I am telling you, everyone has a name and there's a purpose behind that name. So Vishnu needs to believe in Vishnu. No one else will come and tell Vishnu, you are unique, you are nature's greatest miracle. That reminds me of another good book I've gone through in my life, The World's Greatest Salesman by O.G. Mendino. Now this talks about 9 scrolls. These are like 9 prayers. And it talks, I am nature's greatest miracle. I will live the day as if it is my last. I will bear love in my heart. My enemies will become friends. All these type of prayers are there. So what I'm trying to tell you is that confidence, that belief, you will have to keep investing in yourself, like what we are doing right now. So if there are so many people and even one of you will try to pick up, I am not the one who is going to teach you, or I have anything in my personality to educate anyone else, but no, I can at least trigger it. And if you think it connects to me, and even one of you can pick up on one of the topic, my job is done. And this is what I'm passing the baton. Because when I was in business school, I used to invite lots of visiting faculty, and there was some people who used to talk some crazy stuff, and I still remember those stuff rather than very theoretical one. So once we got India's second biggest poultry farm owner, he was creating a big impact in the Indian economy in the poultry. And he says that I don't believe in all those old classic songs of Dilip Kumar, Jab Dil Hi Toot Gaya, Ab Ji Kar Kya Karenge. And he was 60 years old. And he said that my favorite song these days is I'm a Barbie doll, I'm a Barbie girl. So I didn't understand what is he trying to say. But later on, when you started making inroads in your career, you understood that why these guys were at that position, what they were. because they were different. They were not following the league. And that is where all the difference lies, Vishnu.
All right, sir. I think that's a wonderful summary that you have given for the question. Sir, the second question that I have, I think a lot of companies, they look for experience more than skills. And especially as a fresher, when you see your resume, you don't have much experience to showcase to the company. How do you convince the company about how talented and skilled you are when you are newly joining a particular company or organization?
Believe me, Vishnu, the thing which matters in interview is not your experience, is not the degrees. Those are given. I am not saying that you are applying for Prime Minister of India job. Definitely you are applying for something relevant where you can justify. But majority of the time, the trick is not on the second page. People don't even go till your second page. The trick lies in your own personality, in your appearance, in your own confidence. You yourself are not very sure about yourself. How can the company choose you? So in my career, I've selected so many people, I've taken so many interviews, and thing which stands out is that the guy knows his or her particular thing. And what the thing I observe is the willingness to learn, the passion, the creativity, because I believe everyone is unique and they have something in this. Now, if it's a complete fitment, interviews can go well. The problem is when I see so many good faces on the screen, I can see you. So, for example, if there's a name called Harshveer, or Smith, or Udayman, believe me, Udayman, Smith, and Harshveer are confining themselves, thinking that they are fresher and they are not suitable for this role. No, that is not true. Smith is such a beautiful name. He's such a nice personality. If he is going confidently, what is he trying to say? He is trying to tell that I have all the prerequisites to enter the corporate world. Give me the chance, and with my passion and excel and my dedication, the way I will turn around, he will become the biggest human resource for the organization. So he will not have to self-doubt himself. He will have to believe in himself, because once he will believe, then the other guy would start believing in him. Are you getting what I'm trying to say, Vishnu?
Yes, sir. I am.
So for example, you are an alumni from LPU and you have a gift of gab, you have pursued your career, you have interest into all these type of host and everything. But all of other people, they are not very comfortable in communication. But in interview, in 5 minutes, you have to communicate. You don't have any other option. And that day you can't prepare yourself. So every single day, you will have to see yourself in mirror and you have to self-praise yourself. So some of the slides I was talking. So for example, I spoke about this book called The Celestine Prophecy. So it is talking about one of the prophecy. It is saying there's a struggle of power when the two individuals are talking. And there is a matter of energy, the energy is flowing. And by default, what we do is we take energy out of the other one and we feel empowered. And in this process, the other person feel weakened. And then there is another way how to revive, how to rejuvenate your energy. And there's a immense energy available for all of us. That's called a universal source of energy from your sunlight, from your nature. And this is where I'm talking about harmony with nature. So what I'm trying to say, that person doesn't have to think that, oh my God, I have only this with this much of percentage, I don't have a work experience. No. If he or she is very, very realistic, that what is his strength, which company he wants to choose or which startup he wants to create, and if he believes, it starts spreading the message on the other side of the table, and it is contagious. Your positivity is infectious. There's no other option. He will have to select you. But the problem was, you failed yourself first. नहीं मेरा तो कुछ नहीं हो सकता, मेरे पास तो experience नहीं है. These guys are looking for 5 years experience. They are coming from Larsen & Toubro. बस खत्म. अब कुछ नहीं हो सकता है. So that is something which I'm just trying to make it sounds simple, and I'm not a baba. I'm not talking something big, but I'm just coming from day-to-day observations. When we select, when we reject individuals, why? Otherwise, you would not have been invited for the interview. You are already there. Now make it or break it.
All right, sir. Sir, since you've been talking about a lot of books, even I'm a big fan of reading books. I read this book called *Sapiens* by Yuval Noah Harari, and in this book they talked about how we as human beings we have this tendency to dominate other people, to pull down other races, and to try to be the superior one. And I think the similar type of things they also happen in corporate world, in companies wherein people try to compete with you so much, they try to pull you down, that they try to bring in a lot of politics. Do you think that there should be a way to tackle all these things? What should be the mindset of that individual while he's working in a company to tackle all these political challenges as well that go through certain company?
Excellent. And you are helping me to continue the discussion for 1 hour at least. Otherwise, I have disappointed you with 4 or 5 slides in 20 minutes. Now, as you rightly picked, these authors, these books, and the one which I was referring, they all are talking the same thing. It's a universal code of conduct. Every book, every author is talking the same thing. They call it a different manner, matter of energy, and overpowering each other. You are talking about this book, and then everything boils down to the society. When you are at home, how you are coping up with your family. When you are at work, how you are coping with your colleagues, your subordinate, your supervisor. But let's not forget, who is doing all this? It is you, the individual. So I can't change others, but at least I can work upon myself. I will not let myself affected by the so-called politics which you are referring. These are all excuses. I don't have time for getting into those vocabularies because that is not very productive. Now, if you will have this type of a mindset, you will less be affected by others. You will be having more time for focusing on your productive work, because at the end of the day, either you are in a own enterprise, your own venture, or you are in a corporate world, what matters is performance. And performance was coming because you were not distracted. You were so focused building your own life that you forgot about others. So when people ask question that, do others judge you? When you ask question, corporate politics, now these are all dependent on someone else. And I have decided not to give that much of importance, because that is good luck to them. They are wasting their time. It is not going to help them at all. And I'll be careful because I have to perform even better now. Otherwise, people are eyeing on you. So the point I'm trying to tell you is that Vishnu needs to become a Vishnu.
Yeah.
If he has become a Vishnu, bloody no politics can deter him and can affect him. The problem was Vishnu was busy observing the politics and not enhancing his skill, not getting ready for the future, not augmenting the new skills. This is where the dichotomy is.
All right, sir. Wonderful answer again. I am pretty much impressed by the way that you can relate the answer with a certain individual as well. So the next question that we have is from Muskan Patel. She's asking this question: how did you manage to establish a brand long back in 2003 when already the sector was held up to 70 to 80% by a giant Indian company? That's the question.
So, yeah. So what is happening? That you are an individual, and all you can do is you can mind your own step. So I've decided to keep walking. No one can deter me if they are 80% market share or 70% market share, because my comparison is with my previous day, not with my competition. So if I have come up with an international brand which is world number one, And only in a country like India, it was not there. That doesn't mean there's any problem. The brand is great, the quality is good. Now comes the teamwork, the handful of people who can deploy those brands into a new market. So here, every small step of yours is getting noticed, and you will be crushed like anything because you don't have that muscle power as a market entrant, but there are some market leaders. So what happened is, the way I'm talking to these young professionals, I started interacting with a team of young individuals, and we charted out a strategy that David versus Goliath, we can't take head on. We have to take a guerrilla war. Let's go into clusters and let's create some critical mass. Now that is possible because India is evolving. Worldwide, the youth is looking for change. They are fed up of the routine thing, the routine brands. They are looking for something international, something class, something premium, provided it is available in their own package terms. So the service package, what we crafted was well thought of with cities of India. Within that city, which cluster of that city, what are the different consumer profiling, who can have a better winnability with the brand. So between the sales, the distribution, and the marketing and the trade marketing, it has to be a cohesive strategy. So like you were referring, Vishnu, that when you are working in an organization, they are not only your friends, they are also your competition, which is fine. This is where the problem is, that you are not fighting the external competition, you are unnecessarily getting into your internal competition. So there is no room for ego. If you are a leader, you have to onboard everyone, and each stakeholder should understand that it is his dream. And if they start marching, I will give you another example, experiment. This experiment in resonance, that when the army used to walk on the bridge, they were not doing the proper drill, the march path, because with the sound resonance, the bridge can come down. Now that is the power of resonance. So as a set of task force I was involved in, I created the joint responsibility, and each member of the team was working as if it's possible. And believe me, it started from 1,000 store, then it became 4,000 store, then it moved to 8,000 store, then it became to 20,000 store. I'm just talking about one city. And when you are talking with 1,000, the type of execution at retail, if you are having a brand which world needs to reckon with, you have to execute with excellence. It should stand out. And in those 1,000 stores, my consumers started noticing that this brand is served in a much premium manner than any market leader. So you started getting some inroads into the Indian consumers. They started talking, word of mouth started spreading, and 4,000 stores, 10,000 stores, 20,000 stores. That shows that if you were focusing in Delhi NCR, it also started spreading even the remote markets of North India like Jalandhar or Ludhiana. These are the satellite towns where it have a spillover effect. But how it all started was your belief in the brand, how it should be deployed on the first store. How can you convert the trade confidence? Now, if it was possible with 1,000, it was not a cakewalk. Definitely out of 4,000, maybe 3,000 would have declined your offer. That's why you chose only 1,000. But then 15 months, day in, day out, you were working like mad. And do you know what, Vishnu? Someone sitting in regional headquarters in Hong Kong, the head of Asia Pacific, started noticing your effort. You are 0.001% of the market share. How does that matter to them? They are having big markets like Japan, Australia. India is nowhere even in discussion. But you have been handpicked as the emerging talent of the organization, and you've been sent to Hong Kong in the regional headquarters to get the flavor of sales strategy and work with the president of the company, how East Asia works. On East Asia, you have a key account, which is modern trade, very well evolved. Australia has some around 94% industry in formal trade, modern trade, which you call. Two big chains like Coles, Myer, and Woolworths. In Japan, you have 7-Eleven, vending machines. In Korea, in Taiwan. Now, on one side in Eastern Europe, Eastern Asia, you have an evolved market where science and technology, but on the same side, the same company, the same brand has a Western Asia, markets like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Philippines, right? Philippines, they call it sari sari store. It's like a grocer, small ones. So I will narrate an incident. When this Ram Setu was getting built, Ram was sitting on the banks of the sea, and this bridge where Hanuman crossed to the Lanka to bring the Sita, there was one squirrel. One squirrel was doing something. She used to go into the water, moist her tail, come, just rub it with the sand and bring it to the bridge. Now, what does that mean? It is said, and I totally believe in these type of examples, it is said that it was not the intensity of how much bridge you build, but the intent of that Lord Ram brought her and he waved on her. That's how you get the pattern. So what I'm trying to say is the intent, what you do. So these 2003, when the brand was new in the country, no one has a affiliation because it's a very personal product. It's not that easy to change. It's not like any soap or anything, but sheer effort every single day. And your job was done. And I was sent to Hong Kong. I was there for 1 year. I worked with 17 markets there, learned everything, came back in India and started implementing some of the best practices which was relevant for the market. And then things started moving much faster. So the company, which was on an import model, everything was getting imported from Switzerland, has started venturing out. Now you have made some good inroads through guerrilla warfare. You have some critical mass. Now local production, local manufacturing possibilities has to be explored, and it happened. But it would not have happened if Diageo would not have entered in Uttar Pradesh, or any other company would not have started from the first 1,000 stores, from first city, then second city, then third city. So all you have control is about your first step. No one can stop you to take that step. But if you believe in your first step, I'm telling you, journey is going to be very rewarding, very refreshing, and very sustainable long term.
Perfect, sir. I think each and every answer that you've been given, giving, is completely detailed, so that there is no doubt of any confusion as well. And I think that's why you are considered to be one of the most precise and perfect individual in the workplace that you are in. There is precision, there is perfection in everything that you do. And so I was...
See Vishnu, what I'm trying to do is, these days people are fed up of all these web calls, and because of Corona, they've got nothing to do. So everyone has become a speaker, right? So I don't want to bombard everyone. I'm just trying to talk as a normal human person.
Agreed.
Now, it happened with me. All these questions are leading to the right answers. If it can happen to me, it can happen to you as well, right? Yeah. Now, my age is 46 years. I've been working from 22 years. So you can at least learn from my mistakes. You can learn from my experience rather than you becoming 46 and then learning the same thing. So all I'm trying to implant, all I'm trying to infuse your audiences with some key words.
Yep.
And I'm sure they are much more smarter than me. They are generation next. I was the telephone era. This is the 5G era. They can connect I'm just trying to give them some trigger points and they can build it upon that. But I'm strongly encouraging, because almost it's been 1 hour they have invested their time in this conversation. Today, they have to go back to the drawing board if they are pursuing bachelor's in arts or engineering or management, whichever stream. They have to look behind how have they come here. Is it by default? Is it by design? Is it what they want to pursue? Spend some time on themselves and let's be honest to ourselves, and we still can redirect our energy and we can create our own path. And all of us have been chosen by Almighty with the same standard. We ourselves are categorizing with the different brands we are wearing, with the different things we are using. But Almighty always created all us same. So I want my young leaders to get enthused by some of my words, and they should make their parents, their society, their girlfriend, their boyfriend feel pride in doing what they will do after this conversation. And Vyas was telling me that lots of good speakers have already given them some good aspects on leadership, on startups, on diversity, on managerial skills. Now, you have all this, and this is not the last conversation you are going to have. There'll be lots of discussions, but you have to filter it and you have to tailor-made what is relevant for you and how are you going to take best out of it.
Thank you so much, sir. I think this has been one of the best sessions that we've had during this e-business conclave 2020. All thanks to you, the patience that you have, the kind of energy that you bring in with your words. Everything has been so stupendous that we all enjoyed it thoroughly. I am so happy to tell you that the Spasmodic Group is going to close this e-business conclave 2020 today. So if you have some words for the Spasmodic Group and this business conclave, it would be our pleasure.
So, Vishnu, I will not complain you being the host has to talk only the good things about the speech, no matter how boring it was. You will say this was the best ever I have come across. But forget about all these jokes. The reality is that I chose the last session with your group just to leave with you some food for thought. Right? I'm not a genius, but yes, as a human, I'm trying to invest in myself. I'm a very God-loving person. I want to love human as a race. Guys, please take this corona pandemic as an opportunity to unlearn some of our mistakes. We've been overdoing, we've been interfering in the nature. And this is how nature will give us back. And we will have no clue, no science and medicine of the world is able to contain it, which is fine. They are developing, but 2020 is gone. It will become a 0 year. This is the time when you will have to reinvent yourself. You are all confined, having a social distancing, no party. So let's reinvest some time on our own individual personality. What do you want to do in your life? How do you want to do in your life? I've tried to trigger some of the bullet points. There are lots of books, lectures, TED Talks, social media. Everything is available for you. Whatever you want to drill down, Google more, go and pursue it. But please identify your inner flame, your inner passion. And after 20, 30 years in some of your talks, I'll be very happy to hear that someone told you, and now you are passing it on, the baton to the others. So good luck. You have a very bright future. You guys will do very well. And I'm sure you will try to understand where I was coming from. I was trying to keep it simple, very basic. I was not trying to bombard you with the jargons that we can do separately later. But all I was trying to encourage you is to ask yourself who you are, what you want to do. Will that give you happiness? What is the definition of happiness? Thanks, Vishnu. That's all from my side.
Thank you so much, sir. It is our pleasure to hear from you and hoping forward to see you in the campus as well. We hope that once things get normal, we can invite you to interact with students physically. I am hoping that all your endeavors that you're going to carry forward in the future as well are going to be successful. You have that charm, you have that energy around with you, and I'm pretty sure that everywhere you step in, it's going to be gold or diamond. Thank you so much, sir. This is Vishnu signing off. Looking forward to see you again somewhere in this phase of life. Thank you once again for all the words, and a big thanks to all the Spasmodic group as well, group members as well. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to interact with such big, eminent personalities. If we have any higher dignitaries as well who are present out here, thank you so much for your presence. We are hoping that everything is going to be fine soon, normal soon, and we're going to meet you all again. That's it from today. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great time ahead. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye-bye.